we are going to be modeling a hammer from a concept art that I did. I just a rough concept art I did, making use of Infinite Painter. So this is what we are going to use. I'm not going to put this on my main monitor here. I'm going to put it on the second screen so that I can look at it. Now we're going to start with a blank scene in Maya. So if you are not familiar with my workspace, yeah, that is if you're not familiar with my workspace, this is my new workspace in Maya. It is a bit different from the one I was using before. So the only thing that changes is just moving the tools right here. I found out that I might need the tools at some point. So I just have to put them right there. I think I'm going to pause this for a moment. I need to fill my water bottle with water, and this is about 2 a.m. past 2 midnight, and I need to have water right here because I need to stay hydrated while talking. So give me a few minutes, and I'll be back. Okay, a quick note before we get right into the video. I want to point out something. You might hear me sneezing at some point, and I'm sorry for that in advance. That is because 2 a.m., like midnight, I always have running nose. I really don't know why. I really can't describe why or say anything. Okay, so aside of all that, let's just get started. Now, you can notice that my grid is not here. If you look at this part here, you see that the grid is turned on, but it is not showing my scene. That is because I turn it off with the shortcut, which is Alt G. Alt G. Now you can see the grid here. So if you are using my workspace, your grid is not available, just make use of this technique to bring it back. And when you hide it from here, Alt G, it's not going to work. So they work independently. If you make use of Alt G to hide it, this won't work. And if you make use of this method to hide it, Alt G will work. Okay, so we're going to start with, this is just a bunch of cylinder. So this is cylinder, this is cube, yeah, this is cube, and this is cylinder, this is cylinder, this is cylinder. Every other thing is cylinder. So going to hold and shift and right click and add a cylinder. Then let's just hit on F to frame. No, I'm not just going to frame this. So going to hit on E, hold down J and rotate this so it snap 15 degrees as I keep rotating, and going to hit on R and scale this up a bit just like that. So what I want to do now is to make sure I have a just one face that I can attach the handle of the hammer to it. So now in Maya, if you just create an object, and I'm going to turn on anti-aliasing. If you just create an object in Maya, you are going to have an option to change the divisions, the height, the curves, and so on. Now you can do that with the shortcut, or you can go into the attribute editor from here. So from here in the attribute editor, you want to select the pulley cylinder one. When you select the pulley cylinder one, you are going to get the height, the subdivision axis, the subdivisions height, and subdivisions cap. Now, if you don't want to go into the attribute editor, so I can just close the attribute editor. And if you have not made any modification to this object, you can just hit on T. When you hit on T, it is going to pop up this window here for you, or just this little pop-up for here, right here. Now you can use it to adjust the subdivision axis, also the subdivision height and caps. The same thing we have in the attribute editor. So now I'm going to head over to the subdivision axis and try to reduce this. So I want to line this up with this. I guess that should be, what am I doing? That should be the X axis. So I want to line this up with the X axis. I want to have one full face right there. So I'm going to reduce this. Let me see if I can get that one full face. Okay. This works, but this is a little bit too small for the kind of hammer I want to create. So let me see what I can do. Maybe, so we have 11 here. Let me see if I can reduce it to 9. 9 is not really accurate. So let's say 6 or 7. Okay, so I think it's not going to be a like an accurate number. So let me take this one. It's not going to be an accurate number. So I think 9 works. So I can use 9 here for this. Okay, this works. We can add more divisions later as we keep working. So I'm going to hit on R and I'm just going to scale this up a bit. Now that I have this, I don't need my, I'm having something different here. Okay, we're just working with it now. So we're just going to focus on that now. So I'm not going to need my grid now since I have just this right here. So I'll go into the face mode, select all these faces, and we have this part selected and also this part selected. Multiple times I've talked about this across most of the tutorials I've been making. So if you go into the component mode, even without going into the component mode, when you hold down Control and Shift and you right click, you're going to get this menu from the marquee menu. Come down to the select and go to camera base selection. When you enable that, now if we select all these faces, all these other faces will be selected, so we can hold down Shift and add to all these faces. We're going to hit on delete to delete those faces. Now we're going to decide how big we want the hammer to be. So I think this size is a little bit okay. So I can work with this. I am not going to do anything else. So I'll go back into the object mode, shift right click and add a cube, a cube. Yes, a cube. So we're going to scale this up just like this. Hit on W and bring it out just like this. Now we're going to scale it down. Keep in mind, this is exactly in the middle of the cylinder. Now the cylinder is just too light, so we need it to be thick. It's not okay the way it is right now. So what we are going to do is to just select the whole cylinder shape and we can extrude it. But there is something I want to do before extruding. Now I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to do it later. So I'm just going to hit on Control E to extrude and come down to the thickness and increase the thickness just like this. So I think this works. Let's say, yeah, this amount of thickness works well for me. So now for the moment, we can just go into the edge mode, select this loop, hold down shift and select this loop, this and this. Now we can hit on Control B to bevel. I'm going to turn off the chamfer and reduce the fraction. Not that much. This works. Now go into object mode, hit on 3 to go into the smooth preview. So here in the smooth preview, this is what we have. This is not what it's supposed to be. Don't worry. So we have extra, we have all these stretching out. We're going to fix that, not now. So I'm just going to hit on 1 to go back into normal mode. Now select the cube, hit on W and move it right here. So we're going to have a little bit of an issue here, but we're going to figure that out. Now I don't need the faces, the this face and the other face. So we go into the face mode, select this and select this to delete that. Now I want you to know that I have not modeled this before. I just did the concept art and straight into recording this video. So if we're having any issue, I'm going to try to solve it right here. And at some point, you find out that as you keep having the issue, you end up restarting the whole model. So it's just common. So we go into the edge mode, select the loop round, hit on R, and we're going to scale it up. Now we're having something like an issue right here. So the question is, how do we merge this so that it is going to feel like the it is going to feel like the this part here, it's completely the inside the cylinder. So how are we going to do that? Now that is making me to consider if we are really going to make use of cylinder to do this. So let me go back into the object mode. So let me scale this up again, hit on W, and let me try to bring this out. So let's just see what we can do. So let me select this. Let me go into edge mode, select this edge, hold and shift to extrude. And if you don't know what this is what we refer to as smart extrude in Maya. When you hold and shift, you can easily extrude. So I'm just going to shift this inward. So let's hit on R. No, I don't want to scale that down. So let's go into the object mode and scale this down just a bit. So let's push this inward. Now, this isn't looking good. Not really the way we want it. So what else do you think we can do right here? So we can take this back. So we can hit on Control Z to undo all of this. So I'm thinking if maybe we can, let me undo this extrude here. If maybe we can extrude this and open it. So now let's grab this cube again. Keep in mind that this cube needs to be bigger than this cylinder. So let's delete these faces again. Let's go into faces, select this face, select the face, and let's delete. Now, what I'm trying to solve is that when you look at the reference, you can see that we have it is very closed. There is no open space here. And that is a bit of a mistake from my own end. But we're going to figure that out. So it's closed right here. So I'm trying to make sure that I achieve that closed part there. So let me just see what I can do. And if there is nothing I can do, then we're going to find a workaround for this. Okay. So now we can just go into the object mode, move this here. Let's just move it inward, just like this for now. Then we'll go into the edge mode, select the loop round, stretch this out. No, let's just keep it here. So let's push this inside again, just like that. So we extrude something like this, and we hit on R. Then we scale this out from all axes, just like this. Let's go into the object mode W. Let's bring this up a bit. Okay, so this works for now. So let's see what else we can do. So I'll go into the edge mode, select this round. I'm going to extrude, take it inward just like this, hit on R and try to scale. Let's see what we can get from here. Now, if I hold on shift and extrude inward, it is still not doing anything and it is not going well. So at this point, what can we do to fix this? So I will go back into the object mode, select everything and just delete everything. So let's try something else. Now let me bring back my grid. Go into shift right click and add cube. Scale the cube along the x-axis for now. And this works well. We can just leave this the way it is for now. Then we can go. Let me hide the grid again. Now we can go right click, go into the face mode, select these faces, and we delete those faces. Maybe we can scale this down just a bit. So I'm trying to see what I can do right here. Now we can create, let's go back into the object mode and create another cube. So let's bring this cube outward just like this. They are both of the same size. So I think this one we're going to scale it up just a bit for now. And now we're going to select this, hit on R, let's scale it down a bit. Let's go into the face mode, select this face, delete it, select that back face and delete it. And we'll go into the object mode, hit on W and push it inward just like this. Now I am going to select this. Let me still push it inward. I'll go into the edge mode, select the loop round, extrude, hit on R, and I'm going to scale it up just like that. I think, okay, scaling it up that way is fine. I'm going to hit on W. No, not, let me, okay, let me scale again. So let me scale it up just like this. I think maybe, right, this works. So I will go into the object mode, W, and push this backward so that it laps with this part completely. So let's see. All right, that is a little bit fine for now. So we have it in here. Doesn't really matter for now. So now we can select this. We can select that. Now we can go into, we can just select the multi-chord tool. You can make use of the insert edge loop too, but I'm going to make use of the multi-chord tool. And once I select the multi-chord tool, I make use of the shortcut M. And if you can't, if you did not map any shortcut to your multi-chord tool, you can come down to the modeling toolbox from here, modeling toolkit. I always call that toolbox, and then you are going to get the multi-chord tool from here. So just select it. So mine is mapped to M, so I can use it to just select the multi-chord tool from here. Or you can also, if you don't want to do it that way, you can, while in the object mode, you can shift right click and you are going to get the multi-chord tool from here. So just select the multi-chord tool. Now I'm going to hold down Control and middle click to add a loop in the center. So now what I'm going to do here, go into the, select the move to, or what is called, is that move to, right? Now I'm going to hit on R and I'm going to scale this out just like this. Now this looks a little bit weird, so we need to make it smooth so that it's going to feel like our object, it's a little bit round. So I can, let's say, no, I don't want to do that on the opposite side, which is this side here, not the opposite, like the other side. So I'm going to leave it this way. Now, this is good the way it is like this. But what I'm going to do is to hit on Control B to bevel that. Now, I don't want to lose this edge completely, that rounded edge. I don't want to lose it completely. So I'm going to add segment. It is looking good, but not smooth. So I think I'm going to add another segment so that it is really going to look smooth. But having one in the middle really works so fine and it's amazing. But I think I can work with this. I'm going to leave this just like that. So I will go into the object mode, select this object. So this is lapping very well. So I'm just going to leave it this way. Now I'll go into the edge mode, select this loop round, which is already selected, hit on W, and I'm going to make use of the smart extrude technique. So I'm going to extrude out just like this. So do I want this to be this way? Yeah, I really want that to be this way. So I'm going to extrude this part out so that it is really going to be big, going to have an extra space here. Let me see, should I bring this out again. Look, for now, let me undo this. So I think I'm going to stretch this out a bit and then scale it up again, just just like that. And do I have to make, no, I'm not going to make that part thick. I'm going to leave it that way. Okay, now we can hit on W. We can extrude. Okay, this works. Feels like, yeah, this part should be more bigger than this part right there. Even if it looks weird, but we're just going to work with it that way. I just love it that way. So we can just, yeah, scale it just like this, which is awesome. Now, what we are going to do is to close that. But before we close it, we need to bevel this. So we're going to select this edge, select the edge, this edge. Okay, all the edges are selected. Now I am supposed to select this edge at the same time. But let me select that. So if you don't know how to select multiple edges, when you select one edge, you hold down shift and you add to another edge. Now if you want to select a loop round, just like I said, select this loop round, you just hold down shift and double click. And if you want to deselect, you hold down control and double click. It is going to deselect the loop round. Not just the loop, also faces. Yeah, also faces. So now we can hit on control B to bevel. Now this looks good. If you want this to be rounded, you go ahead and make it rounded. But I think making it rounded is going to add a little bit of that stylization feel, but we lost that connection we're having here. So even if we try to scale this down, we're going to have a little bit of space there. So let's turn off the chamfer and the segment. Let's take the segment back to 1. The segment is going to be 1 by default. So we can just reduce the fraction so that it won't be that tight. Okay, so we still maintain the edge, so we can go into the object mode. Now we have this, which is looking a little bit good. Now we can hit on 3 to go into the solid mode. Now this looks good, but it is a little bit rounded. Now what we can do here, we can add extra supporting loops in here, but let's round up what we are doing. So let's go into the edge mode. Let's select this loop round. Now we can hit on R, hold on shift, and then extrude inward. Now we're having this weird look because we are in the smooth preview. And I actually don't want this. I want that to just feel completely. But okay, so this is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so everything, it's looking a little bit okay. Everything looks good, but that is what I don't want. So let me see what I can do. Let me undo that. Now let me shift right click and let me see. Let's go to fill hole. And now we're going to have this weird look here. So if we connect this to this, connect this to this, we should have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's try that. Let's select the multi-cut 2. So let's connect this vertex to this vertex. Enter. Let's select this vertex. Is that correct? No. So yeah, it's correct this way. So now let's connect it to this one here. Let's hit on enter. So let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we can select this vertex and connect it to this one. Now, how can you tell if a vertex is selected properly? So when you move the multi-cut tool to any vertex, we are going to have this red highlight on that vertex. So click on it and go to the other parts, and you click on it, you add that, you, you add the connection, not the loop. So we can hit on 3. Now you can see what we have here. This is looking good. So we can hit on 1 to go back into the normal mode and hit on W. Okay, now what we are going to do, let's see if we can add, we still need to build this. Since we have that connection here, this won't go around. So we hold down shift, double click, and we double click to select every loop round. So we hit on Control B to bevel. And of course, we're going to turn off the chamfer. We're not having any error here, so everything is still 4. So we can just reduce the fraction. Now, if you are reducing the fraction from here and you notice it is going too fast, you don't know how to control it, you can click here, right click on that part and set it to slow, medium, or fast. But the fastest way to control this is by holding down Control and Shift, and it is going to incrementally increase and decrease the fraction. So that is what I like making use of sometimes. Now, when we hit on 3, you can see that we have this nice and smooth edge of our hammer. So now we need to move this to the other part, which is to mirror. But before we mirror, we need to add holding edge so that this part looks a little bit tighter, because we did not tighten it when we are working on it. Now we can do smooth preview. No, not smooth preview. We can add more subdivisions. So we can try that and let's see what happens. So we can shift right click and go to smooth, and then we can just say division 1, and let's leave it that way. So you can now see that we have a nice crease right there. But if you don't want to do that, the crease is still the same thing. So if you don't want to do that, you just want to tighten the loop. So you just have to grab the multi-cut tool, hold down Control, middle click to add a loop there. You can now see that it has shifted this loop closer to the edge. So now we can add another one here. It has also shifted this loop closer to the edge. If you want it more tighter, you can add one here and add one here. And you can also add one here and here. Now, this looks more tight than the way it is. So we can hit on W. Now we can go into the object mode and deselect it. Now you can see that we have this edge catching more light than the way it is supposed to be, which is good, and that is what we want. But it is going out here, so we can just hit on R, and then we can scale this up, W. I don't want to move this back, so I can select this one and move it forward a bit. So now we can work with that. So let's select this now. Let's go into the edge mode. Now, if we go into sub D mode into of this, you can see what we have here. So we can select this loop round, select the loop, this loop, and this loop. Here on Control B to bevel. So we're going to turn off chamfer. We don't want this to be now rounded. So let's turn on chamfer first and let's see. We add a segment. Let's add segment of 2, and not 2, just 1. So let's select this, hit on W and try to move it outward. Let's see what we got here. Okay, this works well, but it is still entering, so we can push this out a bit. Now it is not working well again, so we can bring this in. Well, you get the idea. I'm going to leave this way. So I can select this now, hit on 3 to go into the smooth preview. And I don't like this that I'm having there. So let me see if I shift this outward. That's fixed a little bit of the issue, but we have spacing here. We have spacing there. So we have the spacing there, but can we fix this? Yeah, we can fix this in a way with the sculpture, but I don't want to rely on the sculpture here in Maya. So let me hit on C to go back into the bevel. So let me turn off chamfer. Okay. Now this is okay. So we can bring this backward and close that space right there. We just have a little space that can also work. We can leave it out. Okay, now we need to move this over to the other side. Now you can duplicate, rotate, and do it. That is fine. But the most quick and easy way to do this is just selecting the object, shift right click, and go to mirror. Now, when you mirror, it can just show this, just mirror it here exactly as how you want it. So you can continue with that. But before I mirror, I'm going to undo. There are some things I want to do. First, before I mirror, I want to add all this here, all these bolts. I want to add them there. But before I add them, let's create the handle right here. So we're going to shift right click and add a cylinder. It should be exactly in the middle. That is the reason why I try to maintain the middle. So, but let me hit on T and reduce the subdivision axis. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to reduce this, but let me just reduce this to about 8. Hit on R. I'm going to scale this down. W and bring this down. So I want this to match this, and this I can comfortably take it inside. Yeah, I sit comfortably. Okay, so I think for this, yes. So the handle needs to be bigger because this head it's going to have lots of weight. So we need it to be bigger. Now let me scale this down a bit. Hit on R. Let me scale it up just like this. And I can hit on W and comfortably take it inside just like what I did before. So we can use this for the handle, which is uh it's a bit okay. So let me see. Can I scale this up a bit? So we're going to have a bigger handle. Yeah, so we can come back to this and shift it back. So let me scale this handle out just like that. Okay, this works. Now I will go into the face mode, hold down tab to paint select. So we'll paint select the face, hold down tab again, and we'll go into paint select this face. Don't worry about the paint select, to paint other places. So let's just delete it. Now, deleting the face inside does not really matter, but it is always good to just delete the faces inside since it's not going to be seen while making use of it. So let's go back into the object mode. So what we are going to do now is to add a little bit of a closing inside here. So we'll go into the edge mode, double click to select the loop round, hit on R, hold and shift, and we're going to do smart extrude just a little, just or maybe, yeah, that is fine. Okay, now we need to bring out the main handle. And in most cases, you can merge both together, but I don't want to merge both together. Now, to prevent the process of creating another cylinder, trying to scale it down to fit into this cylinder we just use as the base of the handle, what we are going to do is to duplicate these edges here. So we can select that loop round and then we can shift right click and go to, okay, okay. Now, this is what we are going to do. Let me undo this. So we're going to select, let me see. Okay, now I am sure that I undo the extrude. Now we can hold and shift and extrude this down just a little. So we can go into the face mode, select this loop round, and we're going to shift right click and go to detach component from here. That is what we are going to do. So now we can go into object mode. We'll go into object mode, they are still together. Here's the select, you can see they are still together. Now we can go back into the face mode, select the loop round. Now we can right click and go to, where is it? Where is it? I can't find it here. So I think we did not detach that completely. So let me undo this first. Okay. So I have undo the detach component. So I can right click now and go to detach, shift right click, detach component. I can shift right click again. That's where is the separate? Where what happened to this separate? I have detached the component, so we should have separate, but okay, so let's try extract faces. Not that. Okay, so you can now see that we have successfully detached that. I don't know what happened before. So we have extract the face. Sometimes you detach the component and then you separate. Okay, you separate when you combine. So we just extract the faces. Sometimes things happen that way. Now, you can now see that we have a perfect size of that cylinder we created. Now we can use this to create our handle. So we're going to push this inward a little bit. Now we can delete the history, push transformation so that everything regarding the connection between this cylinder and this cylinder are no longer there. So we can go to modify and we can go to no, we can go to edit, delete by type, history, and go to, we don't need to center the pivot, we can leave it that way. And we can go to modify and then freeze transformations. Now, freezing transformation is going to freeze the movement, the rotation, and the scale on the X, Y, and Z axis. So we can just do that, freeze transformation. But do I have to freeze the transformation? No, I'm not going to freeze the transformations. I'm just going to delete only the history. Okay, now we're going to select this edge with brown. This is the moment of truth. So let's just bring this down just like that. So I think the handle is a bit bigger than the main hammer itself. So this isn't good. This is not good for what we want to do. So we can select this, we can select both, hit on R, and we can scale this up. Let's scale this up just like that. Now we can hit on W and take it up. So I think this is a little bit better. Maybe we can scale it again, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and we can pick this up. And this should be bigger, more than. So let's scale this up a bit and push it outward just like this. Okay, yeah, this works now. Awesome. But I still think this is a bit big compared to, let me see, let me zoom this out. Yeah, this is still big, so we can delete that. We don't need it for now. So we can go to this and go into the edge mode, select this to brown, hit on R, and we can scale it inward just like this. Okay, now we're going to shift right click. It's a little bit late. I think I need to go to bed early. Okay, this is just almost 3 a.m. Okay, this is a little bit fair now. Now we can hit on W and bring this down again. This shouldn't be smaller. I am not going to redo this if it is smaller. Okay, now we can go into the face mode and double click to select this loop around. Now we can shift right click and go into detach component, or let's just extract the faces immediately. So let's click off. So we have the face right there. So we can hit on W and push this up. Now you can delete the history, the freeze transformation, and so on. Now, if you hide your shelf just like me, which is okay, you can just come here. This is center the pivot, this is delete history, and this is freeze transformation. So I'm just going to delete the history without freezing the transformation and hide the shelf. Now we can go into the edge mode, select this loop round, and we can just bring this down, stretch it down just like that. So I want the handle to be a little bit bigger, just like this. Okay, now this is looking weird because we don't have the second part of the hammer right here. So what we are going to do, we're just going to mirror this for now. So mirror, let's go into the object mode, shift right click and mirror. Okay, that works flawlessly, but not good. Let me undo. Okay, I think it is good. So we can click off, it is in the center, everything works well. Now you can see that the handle is no longer looking weird like it is before. So we can just go into the edge mode, select the loop round, and we can bring this down again, just like that. All right, this is looking good now. This is close to what we have as our reference, my wonderful concept art. Okay, now it is time for us to do that handle of the it's time for us to do the handle, those something like all this we have on the handle. So we can add, so we can come down here, hit on M and select and add a loop cut close to this part right here. So that's going to feel like the place they are going to hold it. So we're going to add a loop cut close to this part here and come down here close to this and add another loop cut there. So we can hit on W, go into the face mode and select that face round. Now you can just extrude the face just like that and do whatever it is that you want to do, but I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is to also shift right click and extract face. If I extract the face, it is going to delete it from there. So I'm not going to do that. Let me just make sure I select the whole faces. Once I'm going to right click and hit on duplicate faces. Okay, now we're going to have a duplicate of the face. So let me deselect. So I can select, I can go into the object mode, select just this, hit on H to hide it temporary. And now we have this. So what I'm going to do for this is to select it. When I already have it selected, I'm going to hit on Control E to extrude and increase the thickness and make this thickness, so make it thick so much that it's going to feel like a foam. So now I can just hit on Shift H. Now it won't show because I don't have it. Okay, Control Shift H. Now sometimes if it did not show, you need to go into the outliner and select that object and hit on Shift H. Now we can't find that object because it's hidden inside there. Also this, you can go into the object mode, and also this is hidden inside there. We're going to come to that later. So I feel like this is a little bit small compared to what I want to have. Now, we don't need to worry about anything. So let's just go into the object mode and let's scale this down. Now, at this point, this is where you want to use the center pivot. So I don't think this is too big. We're going to check that later. Let us see. So this is where you want to use the center pivot. So now we can hit on Alt K to bring the shape. Now we can center the pivots, delete the history, and then freeze the transformation. So there's something I need to do here, but before I do that, I want to confirm something. So I'm going to hold down Shift and clone that and bring this close to the bottom here. So making it to match this part here. So everything is looking good right now. So I love this. This is fine. So I'm going to select this and delete it. But I think I still need to scale this. So I'm going to scale this up a little bit, just like that. Now we can select this handle, hit on Control 1 to isolate. Now we can go into the edge mode, select this, Control Delete. Now, if you don't Control Delete, it is going to leave those vertex right there. So let me show you. So if I have them selected and I just delete, if I go to edge, you can see that we have those points right there. But Control Delete, it's going to delete the edge and the points at the same time. Now that is the only thing we want to do. I want to delete those edges because they are not needed anymore. So I'm going to hit on W, go into the object mode and select the subject, bring it down a little bit. Now clone this. Now before I clone this, I cut that. So let me do. I'm going to select this. Now I am going to right click, not right click, not go into the edge mode. Hit on M to select the multi-cut tool. And I am going to add a loop in the middle. Now I'm going to hit on W, select that loop round, hit on R, and scale inward, just like that. Okay, scale it inward. Now that needs to be smooth, so I'm going to hit on Control B to bevel, add another segment in the middle, and I think maybe two to just make it extremely smooth. All right, that is good. Now I will go into the edge mode again, double click on that loop and also this loop, the top loop, and this one, hit on Control B to bevel. Did I select every loop? Yes, I select every loop. So I'm going to turn off the chamfer. Should I turn off the chamfer? So let me go into the smooth preview and let's see what we can have. Let's go into the object mode. So I think, yeah, I want that to just, so this is going to be like a wood. If this is going to be like a wood, not like a wood, it is going to be like something like a cloth or foam. So the edge are not supposed to be that thick. Or what do you guys think? So let me hit on Steam and let's turn off the chamfer. So maybe we can turn on the chamfer and then probably reduce the fraction. That works. So let's go back to the object mode, hit on 3. Yeah, this works. I'm going to leave it that way. Now we can comfortably duplicate this and we can just add one loop here to bring this down, but I'm going to leave it that way. So we can just hit on W and Shift. So we're going to clone this and bring this down right here. Now I can say we can comfortably, yeah, when I mean comfortably, simply means that having that confidence to do something without worrying about the negative part of it. So we can comfortably hit on 3 on that main handle and we're not going to have any issue. Why? Because we don't have any faces right there. So assuming we have faces, here. So let me isolate this for a moment. Assuming we have faces here, it is going to give us some issues at this part here, but we don't have face, so it is not going to give us that issue. Now, we need to take this up just like this. something like this. Now we're going to select this. Now we can still go back into the normal mode. Now we're going to hit on M, hold down Control, and add a loop cut close to that part there. Hit on W, go into face mode, which we already are. So we're going to select the loop round, just like that. So for this, what we are going to do, okay, let's duplicate the face again. So we're going to shift right click and go to duplicate faces. Let's click off. Now let's go into the object mode. Let's see what we have selected. So we don't have the face selected. Now we have the face selected. So now you can see the pivot is at the top. So we can just go to modify and then center pivot. Now we can just move only this. So what we want to do is to make the base of the hand, just the handle, just like that. So we're going to hit on Control E to extrude. Now going to, so how do we do this? Okay, that works. So we're going to increase the thickness, just like that. And I want the thickness to be exactly this. So let me see, let's hit on 3 to go into the smooth preview. Now we can scale that later. So let's hit on 1 to go out. Now we can go into the object mode, select this, hit on W and move it up a bit. Let's deal with this part completely. So now we can, this needs to be a little bit bigger. So we can scale this up just like that. Hit on W and we can move this close to this part here. Okay, this works. Now we can go into the edge mode, double click on the loop, double click on the loop, double click here, and also double click, hit on Control B to bevel. And certainly we are turning off the chamfer for this. Now we can right click, go into object mode, hit on 3 to go into smooth preview and select this, hit on W, and let's bring these down. And I think now they are not matching perfectly. So we can hit on R and let's scale this up. Okay, now they are almost, let's scale it a little bit again. So no, let's make this bigger, just like that, so that this is going to relax on it. So let's make this a bit bigger. Yeah, so that it's going to hold the hand. When the person swings the hammer, it is not just going to, maybe there's something like oil or water, so it's not just going to slip out of the person's hand. Now, even if this is going to hold, sometimes you might swing so hard that it is still going to slip. So even if your hand slipped past this to hold and slip past this place here, it is not going to pass. So this is going to hold your hand. So we can just kill that way, just like that. Awesome. Now we can just hit on the move this up completely. So let's try to align this. It's this part here. Okay, this is way too big now. So I think where we made an error is during extrusion. So let's hit on 1. Yeah, we made an error is during extrusion. So let's undo this. Okay. Let's hit on T to bring the extrusion up. So now let's extrude this, make it bigger, just like that. I think we should make it more big. Okay, this works. Now we can go into the object mode, hit on R, and we can scale this up comfortably. Now let's move this up here. And let's also move this up here. So this works for now. Let's just move this. So we can go into the edge mode, select the loop, select this, and select this. Hit on Control B to bevel, turn off the chamfer, reduce the fraction so that we tighten that edge there. Now we can hit on 3 to go into the smooth preview. Hit on M to select the multi-cut to go down Control and add a loop in the middle. Hit on W, select this and bring this down to make it relax. On top of that, now we can select this, hit on 3, and now the smile we were smiling before is actually going to end. So we can select this, right click, go into the edge mode, and let's go back into the object mode, select this, edge mode, select the smooth round, hit on 1, and now we're going to hit on R, bring this inward, and I want to see something. So we're not going to fill this hole because we'll try to fill the hole. We're not going to get a perfect face. So let me see. If we decide to connect this to this, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's try and let's just say, so let's right click and go to fill hole. Now we'll fill the hole, hit on M, select the multi-chords too. We can move this to this. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. It is not going to work. So let's undo that. What we are going to do is to right click and go to, not right click. Okay, we're going to shift right click, go to merge slash collapse edges. Let's come down, merge slash collapse edges. We'll go there, and now we're going to select merge edges to center. And when we do that, this is what we are going to have right here. So now we can right click, go into object mode. Now, if we hit on 3, we're going to have this. We can comfortably hit on 3 here now. So now we can hit on 1, go into the edge mode, select this edge, Control Delete, select this edge, loop round, hit on Control B to bevel, going to turn off the chamfer, and we're going to reduce the fraction. So now we can comfortably hit on 3, which is still not okay. So what we are going to do now is to hit on M, select the multi-chord to add loops around this to tighten that edge. So let's go close to it. This is a little bit okay. So let's tighten this. Okay, this can work. It's a little bit close, so we can go into the object mode, hit on W, and that can work for now. So we can hit on Control+1 to bring that back. All right, so everything is looking so good right now. It is looking good. Now it is time for us to add the bolt. So let me quickly see. It is already past 3 a.m. So I need to go to bed. I will going to continue tomorrow. And of course, you guys are just going to watch it once straight completely. So I'm going to stop this and we'll continue. Now, if you have not saved and if you don't know how to save in Maya, that is, if you have not been following my tutorials, to save in Maya, you want to go over to File. When you go to File, first you want to come down to Project Window. When you click on it, this is going to open a project window. The use of this project window, it's in case, the use of this project or the settings we want to do now is just in case you want to share this with some of your friends, you want to share the project with some of your friends, or you are working in the studio and start a project, you want to share the project to other team members. This is going to help you achieve that. So what you want to do now, you can see that here it is currently set to default. Now you don't want to make use of the default. That is, if you decide to give your project a different name. So you're just going to hit on new, and that is going to create a new project. So you can just name this to Hammer. Now it is going to save under this part, your username, documents, Maya, and project. Now, primary project locations. So everything you're going to be saving will be inside of this folder. It will be inside of project Hammer. That is where it's going to be. And right inside of the Hammer, you're going to have scene, assets, and so on. Now, when you save a scene, it is going to be inside of this scene folder. Now, if you want to change the name, go ahead and change the name from here, or you can also locate any specific folder of your choice that you want to use. So auto save will be saved in here. Now, if you want to add things like textures, that is the texture with Substance Painter, and you want to bring it into Maya and apply it to your model, you can just save them in source images, or any part. So if you have references, you can save them in source images. If you have clips, you can put it right here. If you have scripts, put it right here. Data, movies, render data, and anything, you just put everything right here. So once you are done with naming your project, just hit on accept. Now by default, the moment you hit on accept, everything you do, it's going to be saved inside of that folder. Now it has replaced the main Maya default folder with your Hammer folder you just created. So now if you go to file and go to save scene, when you go to save scene, you can just click here. Now when you look at the top here, you're going to see that it is in document Maya project Hammer and scene. So you can just say Hammer and hit on save. Now this is the first save I am going to do. Okay, now we've made a large progress, a nice progress. So which one did we do first? We did this one first, which is okay. So let's keep that in mind on the x-axis front. So this is what we did first. Now you've done something great. We've not done with this part right here. So you've done something great. Next time when you want to continue your project, you can just open it and continue your project. But what I'm going to do, just to have a nice backup of this, so in case anything go wrong, I can fall back to something. I can just go to file and do the increment and save. So when you look at the top here now, we can see that we have hammer.001. Now we also have the same, we also have, if I go to home, you can now see that we have hammer.mb and hammer.001.mb. So now if I am working right here, if I do any modification now, here, and maybe I delete this and hit on save, it is not going to affect the main hammer itself. It's going to affect only the hammer 001. So now if I assume that I add, or if I say I want to add smooth, I want to smooth that, when I apply this smooth, I can go to file and do another increment and save, and it is going to just save with hammer.002, having the smooth, the smooth that I've added to the object, the divisions I have added to my object, and the previous hammer.001 is going to just have my model without the smooth preview. So that is the use. You need to understand all this for you not to go crazy at some point in Maya. All right, this is looking good, and that is it for today. See you guys by daybreak. So this is already saved. Let's go into close this. Okay, let's complete our model. So now we are going to select this, hit on Control 1 to isolate. That is the only object in our scene that we did not apply the smooth preview. So we go into the edge mode, select the loop round, hit on Control B to bevel. We're going to turn off the chamfer and reduce refraction just like this. And I'm going to hit on 3 to go into the smooth preview. But looking at this, we have this loop too far from the edge. So we need to add extra edges. So I'm going to make use of the multi-cut tool. I'm going to add one here and add one here. Did I add? Okay, this is what I want to do. Okay, now this looks good and this looks tight. But if you want to make it tight again, you can add one here, and that is going to make it lighter. But I'm okay with that. It's really okay. I don't want anything else. So I'm going to hit on Control 1 to bring this back. Now we can go into the object mode and click off. Okay, everything is looking good, but it feels like my PC is lagging a bit. And if it does, I am going to restart this. Okay, so now let's see the wireframe. Normally, I don't use this blue wireframe. It is always black, but I'm going to change that later. Okay, so the wireframe is looking so good and clean. Everything is looking so nice. Okay, everything is looking good at this point. Now we need to add a design to this head of the hammer itself so that it looks good, not as plain as it is looking here. So I have some reference. I'm going to pause this and send the reference onto my PC right now. Then we can continue. Okay, so I don't want us to focus on the reference. Let's just use only this reference that we have. So I think something is open. So let me close this. Okay, I want us to make use of only this reference and try to add the every other thing by and try to add every other thing by ourselves. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is to add a board here. So I really want this to, okay, I'm going to add a board here for one here, one here, one here, one here, and one in the opposite direction. So I'm going to make use of a cylinder. So I'm going to shift right click, add a cylinder. I'm going to bring this out for now. Hit on T, and I'm going to reduce the subdivision axis till I get something like 5. So is that 5? So we have one here, here, and on the other part. So it's 5. Probably that should be 6, if I'm correct, or 5. Let's make use of 5. And when you check it and you confirm that it is 6, just use 6 on yours. So I'm going to hit on E, hold down J, and rotate this. Now this should be, so let me hit T back again. Let me go for, okay, let me go for 6. 6 works, so we can use 6 for this. Now I am going to hit on R, scale this down just a bit, scale it on all axes, hit on W and push it backward just like that. Now this is too big, but we can be cool for now. So we can push this in just like that. Maybe like this is fine. Now we can hit on E to rotate, hold on J and just rotate this a little so that it really fits in properly. So we can select this now, move this to this part, hit on R and scale this down just a little, hit on W, bring it out and push it here. Yeah, this is coming out very well. So I love what I have here. Now, this is looking good, but we're going to duplicate this all around. And I don't just want this to be like this. It won't be really good. I don't want, so what I'm going to do is to sculpt all these edges to make it flat and make it look like it is crushed. So I'm going to select this and then go into the edge mode, select the loop round and also select this loop round. Hit on Control B to bevel. I'm going to turn off the chamfer and reduce the fraction so that it go close to something like this. Hit on 3. I know when I hit on 3, all these edges are going to be rounded which I don't want. So what I'm going to do first, let me see if this will work. I don't want to bevel all these edges because it's going to give me, it'll look a little bit weird. But if what I'm trying to do did not work, then we'll go into bevel. So I will go into the object mode, right click and go to smooth preview. And of course, it is still giving me the same thing. Let me try to increase the division. Of course, the division makes it worse. So I'm going to click off and undo this. Now I have no any other option than to bevel all of this. So I'm going to select all the edges around, hit on Control B. Now this is what I'm saying. It's looking a little bit weird. Let's turn off the chamfer so you see, but everything still looks good. It's still 4 all around. So let me hit on 3 to go into the smooth preview. It looks good, but I am going to reduce refraction to tighten those edges completely. So I can right click, go into the object mode, click off, and good. This is what I want. Now we need to sculpt on this. To sculpt on this, we can't work with these numbers of divisions we have here. We need to add more division. Now, the reason why I am leaving this way is because everything is just four. The faces are quad, so I'm just going to leave it this way. Now, when I go into the chef, I switch into the sculpting. So if I select the full brush? No, I go to the sharpen and I go to the flatten surface brush. If I select that, you notice that my objects it's going to change. And I think something is going on right here with my PC. So normally I don't get this lag. So what I'm going to do now is to just pause this, restart my PC, and we'll continue from where we left off. So I will just go out of the sculpting mode, hit on W to go out of the sculpting mode, Control 1 to bring back all the items that are isolated, hit on Control S to save. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see if my PC lags naturally or it just started to lag, which simply means I have to reload my PC. But if not, let's just continue. So let me switch back into the sculpt and select the flatten tool. So let me zoom in. Okay, it still lags just a little, but not as much as what we have there before. Okay, so now we have this. There is no way we can flatten this edge of our there's no way we can flatten the edge of our object with these subdivisions we have or with these divisions we have. So for us to be able to work on that, we need to add more divisions. And if you are new to the sculpting tool in Maya, if you want to increase the size of the brush, when you hold down the B key, hold down the left click of your mouse, you slide left, you can increase the size of the brush, and when you slide right, you can decrease and increase the size of the brush by sliding left or right. So now I am going to shift right click. We are on the sculpt. So I will go out of, let me hit on W and go out of the sculpting mode. Now we can just select and shift right click and go to smooth to add division. So this is a little bit okay, but not really okay. Now, another thing you need to do is before we work on this, let me undo the smooth preview. Let's quickly go into our UV editor right here. Let's come down here and we just need to unwrap this. So I'm going to edit, delete, select, create, and then make use of the camera base. Now I will go over to my UV and select the 3D cut and sew to. I'm going to select that. Now, if you go there, you don't know how to make use of this tool, you can click on this button here, and that is going to open this menu for you. So click on the drop down menu and you are going to get a shortcut. So now you can see left mouse button, cut UV edge or highlighted UV edges, left mouse button plus drag, cut UVs, shift plus and so on. You get the idea. I don't have to start going through all this. So before you do this, before you select these two, you need to make sure that you are in the edge mode. So I'm going to hit on W, click off, go into the object mode, select this and go into the edge mode. Now I can go back to this and select the 3D cut and sew too. So from here, I'm going to just click with the left mouse button and drag. This is going off, so I'm going to undo that. So when you are doing this, you want to make sure, this is the problem we are having. It is not following. Sometimes you go through this problem. So let's go. I have encountered this error a lot, and that is not how it is supposed to work. So we can try from here. You can see that is going down more than, I think maybe something is wrong with the direction of my mouse. So we can hold down control. Okay, let me try something. So for one cut, we can just hold down shift and cut. Now you see how it is working. That is going to just follow that edge and cut it directly. So we can start here, hold down shift and bam, that cuts everything for us. Now we can start here, hold down shift. Now we don't want all this, so we can come back here, hold down control and drag back to just take it away from the part we don't want to cut. So let's just, we already cut that place, so let's just add there. So we go right here to the back, hold down shift and cut. Now you see how easy and quick this is comparing to you manually selecting all the edges and doing it one after the other. So the question is, does this really work? Yes, of course it works. So all we just have to do now is to go into the UV editor and we'll go to, let's just hit on W and go out of it. So right click and select UVs, highlight everything. Then we shift right click and we go to unfold and unfold. Now you can see that we successfully cut this UV. Now we can shift right click and go to, of course, if you can't find the um, orient and so on, what you are going to do is this. Let's try the align. You can see it is still not here. So what you're just going to do is to right click and go to modify. From here you are going to look for the orient shell and click on that. It is going to orient the shell. Now you can shift right click, go to layout and then layout UVs, and this is going to fix the UVs for you. Now take a look at this. You can see the issues that we have here. This is because of the smooth preview that we are in currently. Wrong English at first. Okay, so for us to fix this, we need to go into the attribute editor, and let's select the is that the poly tweak UV poly cylinder shape two. Let's see, that is it, poly cylinder shape. Let me see if that is it. Should be this one. Then we'll go to smooth mesh and scroll down to this part that says subdiv levels control. Then we'll come down to this part that says open subdiv control. We'll click on that. We're going to get this option, UV boundary smoothing. It is currently set to Maya Catmull Clark. So just click on that and set it to preserve edges and corner. So now you can see everything here looks good, no longer the way it is. Okay, now we have a nice UV. We can go out of the UV editor, close this, come back to, we can come back to our object and click or select that again. Now we can shift right click and smooth. Okay, so we can say, let's make the divisions 2. Okay, this works. Now we can still go back into our UV editor just to check and confirm to see that everything is okay. If this goes back, just go back and fix anything. Okay, so this looks good now. We can now select the sculpt tool from here, and then we can select the tool and we can hold down B and use it to reduce the size of the brush. So from here, we can sculpt. Now you can see as we sculpt, it is taking that edge, it is flattening the edge little by little. Now, if the strength is not what you want, just go over to the tool and double click on the tool. When you double click on the tool, you can see the size and the strength. The strength is currently set to 15. So we can just align this and set the size to 20, the strength to 20. And now we can sculpt. And keep in mind that the sculpting tools in Maya is very weird. So I'm just doing this so that we can play with this. Now you can see what is going on right there. So let me undo that. If this is not what you want, you can make use of ZBrush. You go into ZBrush. That's totally fine. And if you can be patient and format this to be exactly what you want, why not do that? Just go ahead and do it. So if you take out your time, so the problem is with these edges, when you get to the edge, it pops. So I won't go to the edge. You see? So when you take out your time and work on it on the tools, it is going to give you what you want. So you can just do it right there. I don't want that weird look. Okay, so sometimes you can hold down control and that is going to work as well. So when you hold down control, you just click and drag, it will take it inside. So you can fix all these edges by holding down. I think it's going to fix it, but it just makes everything worse. So let me go back and this should be redo. Awesome. So let me just do this and right here. So I'm not trying to be professional here. I'm trying to be precise because of course we know the Maya sculpting tool is very bad. I'm just showing you how to do it. If I really want to do this professionally, I will go into ZBrush. And I think it's high time I start making ZBrush tutorial as well. But you don't need to expect something professional because I don't use ZBrush that much and I'm not really familiar with ZBrush. You see, making use of ZBrush for me is just like testing the waters. I use ZBrush today, tomorrow I don't use ZBrush, and before you know it, you see me start making use of ZBrush again. And at some point, I stopped making use of ZBrush. It's been a couple of months I opened ZBrush, so I that is the reason why you've not seen any ZBrush related tutorial on this channel or me sculpting, making use of ZBrush. Now, I am not trying, like I said, I'm not trying to be professional here. You can take out your time and format the Maya sculpting tools and use it to get what you want. I'm just trying to do something a little bit gently here without doing too much. So I think I can work with this. Now I can hit on W to go out of the sculpt. And yeah, this looks okay. It's not really precise, so it's fine. So I can hit on Control 1 to bring it back, to bring back the hammer. So I can push this inward. Now I'm going to clone this and pick it up just like that. So I'm going to select both of them, shift right click and combine. Now I shouldn't combine this because of, let's go into the UV, go to the UV editor. All right, everything works well. So let's close it. Now we're going to mirror this over to the other side. So this is the X axis. So we're going to shift right click and we'll go to mirror, and this is going the other way around. So we can come down to the direction and set the direction to plus, and that's it's actually going to work well for us. Now we can click off. Now this time we need to mirror this to the back right here. So we're going to select this, and of course it is going to select everything. Now we can just go to um To the poly mode link, we're just going to delete history, bridge transformation, center pivot, W. Okay, everything is okay. Now we can shift right click. This is going to be on the Z axis. So we're going to mirror again. Did I mirror? No, I'm not sure if I. What did I do? Okay, let's send that the pivot again. So shift right click and mirror. Okay, so now it is currently set to the X axis. So we're going to click here and set it to the Z axis. Now it is here. All right, this is looking good. Okay, now we can click off, select the object. We can now delete history, freeze transformation, and center the pivot. So at this point now, you can just select everything, shift right click and hit on separate. When you hit on separate, you're going to get the individual objects and everything still looks good in the UV editor. So if you wish to separate it, go ahead and separate it. That is totally up to you and what you want to do. Now this is looking good. Looking at this, I felt like we should have expand this part more, but it's still okay. If you are doing yours, you can expand that. So I think I need something at the top, like a cone at the top. But should I do that? Now let me go right here. This is the cone. So let's click to create a cone. So I'm going to move it up here and I'm just going to bring it down and push it inside just like that. Awesome. This is looking good. Now, if I hit on 3, you can see what we have here. So I'm going to hit on 1, take this out just like this, go into the edge mode. And normally I'm supposed to reduce. Let me hit on T. Let's go back. Let's hit on W and go into the object mode. Hit on T. And let me reduce the subdivision axis a bit. I think something like this is fine. Now I can go into the edge mode, double click to select the loop round. Is there anything going on? Okay, so I can just select this individually. It should be able to select the loop round. Is there anything going on there? So let me hit on W, push this down. Okay, everything is okay. Now I'm going to hit on Control B to bevel, turn off the chamfer, and reduce the fraction just like this. Now hit on 3. Of course, the fact that we reduce the subdivision, it's making us to have this weird shape at the top. So I can select that again, go into the object mode and see hit on T. Now I can't because I have done some modification to this. So let me undo this and let's have more of this. So let me hit on 1, go into the edge mode, select all the loops. So there is a way we can select more of this edge. So we can, let's say, go to select and we can see some selection, camera base. No, not this selection. So let's go back. Let me right click and yeah, so to edges and continuous edges, and that is going to select everything. So now we can hit on Control B. So in case you did not get that, let me undo, let me select that, put on Control, right click to edges and continuous edges. It is going to select all the whole loop round. That is, if when you double click twice it did not work, you can make use of this technique. So I'm going to hit on Control B to bevel, turn off the chamfer and reduce the fraction. Now let me hit on 3 to go into the subdue mode. So let's go into the object mode and deselect. So this is not really looking good at the top. So I'm going to still undo this, hit on 1. I'm just going to undo this and undo the selection. Go into object mode, hit on T and reduce the subdivision axis. Now we're going to do what I don't like. We're going to do what I don't actually like. So we have 7. My 7 works, we can just work with 7. So we hit on Control B to bevel, turn off the chamfer, hit on 3 to go into the subdue mode. then reduce the fraction to make this sharp. Yeah, this is exactly what I don't want, but it added this kind of nice hard edge. I don't like that, but I can work with that. Now we can bring this down and put it right here. Now we can click off. Okay, of course, everything is looking good. Now we're going to duplicate this, and by cloning, hit on E, hold down J, and we're going to rotate. But before we do that, let's undo. Let's undo that. Now let's select this. Let's go into the UV editor. Let's close this. Now let's come here. W. So let's go to edit and then delete. Let's select this, create, and then camera base. Let me hit on Control 1 to isolate. Then we go into the edge mode. So we just select one loop round completely. Did it pass through? No, it did not. Now we can select that loop. It is not selecting, so we can control right click and continuous edges. Okay, now we can use the normal method. So we can shift right click and go to cut just here. Now we can right click, go to UVs, shift right click, go to unfold and unfold. What did we just do? We did not highlight the whole UVs. Awesome. So shift right click, go to unfold and unfold. What crazy stuff do we have here? And then we can do something again. Let's right click, go to let's right click, go to tools, modify, and we orient shells and we shift right click, layout, and then layout UVs. Okay, so let's zoom in closely to this part here. So this, let's try something. Let's select this. Let's go to UV shell. Let's select this shell and let's come down to the cut and sew tab from here and let's try, not the cut and sew, let's go to the unfold and let's try if this is going to straight. So let's say we unfold along U and we unfold along Z and let's try to straighten this, and this is not working. It is not giving us that thing that we want because we have that connection here, and this is not a UV masterclass, so we're going to work with this like this. I'm just going to keep it that way. All right, now we can close this, go into objects. I don't want to go into UV, so let's just leave it that way. I have a dedicated tutorial about UV, so I can select this now and clone it, hit on E, hold down J, and I can rotate this. Now I'm going to move this all the way to this side right here. Is this rotated completely? So let me undo this rotation. E, J, and make sure I rotate completely also. Now I can bring this here. That has gone too far. Let's bring it back. Let's push it backward just like this. Let's put it here. Maybe a little bit more in the center. So let's push it out. Of course, it is too big. So let's make it lap. Hit on R. Let's scale it down so that it fits that face. So we can push it in. Yeah, it's still okay. So let's just scale it down. Like let's say a little. Awesome. No, that should be completely in the middle, just like this. Cool. All right, now we can select W, push this out, maybe just a little, just like this. Okay, now we can clone this one. I'm trying to make this just three. So let me clone this again. Okay, so this is just close like this. So we can select this one and bring it close in the middle. Nice. That is looking good. Okay, now we can select this, clone it, hit on E, and we're going to rotate this back to 90 degree. I don't know. I don't want to do that degree thing right now because it's going to make me feel like I want to start calculating what I am not supposed to calculate. Okay, so now we can clone. Let's just clone and move this in just like this. So let's take this close to this part and let's move this into to the center and let's push this out just a bit. Okay, this is fine. Now we can select these three and shift right click, combine, everything is one object. You guessed it, we're going to right click and then we're going to mirror to which, okay, so, okay, let's mirror over to this place first, which is the X axis. Now let's keep that. We're going to select this, shift right click, and we're going to combine. Now shift right click and mirror. Okay, that is okay. Now we're going to select this W. Let's face transformation and center the pivot. Now we shift right click and we're going to mirror. This time we're not mirroring over to the X axis again. We are going to mirror to the Y axis. And we're having this issue because of this space. So let's go to minus. It is not going to work. So if you want to try that, don't do that. So we have the merge threshold. You can use this. That is if you want to merge. But at this point, we are not merging. So let me undo that. We are not merging. So you can play with the position. So the axis position is word. That is why it is not really matching. So let's try object. You can see it is making use of the previous objects we mirrored from. So we set it back to word. Now let's try the offset. So the offset is going to help us adjust it. So let's hold down Control and Shift to adjust this gradually. And let's try to make it connect. Okay, so we need to connect it just like that. Now, if you don't want to make use of the offset, which is this one here, you can just make use of this arrow. So you can use it to just drag it and put it anywhere you want to put it. So now let's select this. We're going to mirror this along the Z axis. So let's delete the history, freeze transformation, and center the pivot. Hit on W. Let's bring this out just a little bit. Now that works. So now we can shift right click and we can go to mirror. And this time we're going to mirror over to the Z axis. And now this looks good. Okay, so this is what we want. Now you can see we have something nice on our hammer. It is no longer looking plain the way it is. Remember I told you as you keep working, you can do what we call increment and save. So we can go to file and increment and save. Okay, this is looking good now. We can select this and then hit on W and we're going to clone this and bring this down. Going to clone it and bring it down. Now this is not in its best shape. We are not focusing more on topology. We are not focusing more on trying to be perfect. We're just understanding how to take our concepts, our rough concept, just like mine, and create it in Maya. So if you want more about topology and so on, you can check out other tutorials on YouTube, or you can check other tutorials I have made. That is if I covered topology. I know I tried to do that. Okay, so now we'll rotate this W. We're going to bring this. This did not rotate completely. So E, J, we're going to rotate this W. We bring it down. Hit on R, and we're going to scale this down. W, and push it in so that it just match. Now, if we want to do something, we can decide to add this here. So this is this is not at the center of the grid, so we can have a little bit of problem. So we're just going to leave it that way. I don't want to go through any one of all those. So, maybe we can. So let's do something. Let's select this and let's clone this. Now I'm going to hit on Alt G to bring back the grid. Now let me isolate this. Okay, so I'm going to take this up. So this is exactly almost at the center of the grid. So let me hit on 1 to go out of smooth preview. So I'm going to hit on D to edit the pivot, hold V to snap to the center. Let's see. This is the center. Let's just hit on W. And now we can hold on X and snap this to the center of the grid. Okay. We are now at the center of the grid. We can just zero the pivot back, hit on E, and we can hold down J and rotate this. Yeah, just like that. Now I'm not really sure if what I want to do is going to work, but we're going to try that. So hit on W and bring this down. So what I want to do now is to, let's hit on Control 1, is to wrap that around this side of the handle of our hammer. So what we are going to do now, we are going to make use of the mesh network in Maya. So first, we're going to right click, go into the edge mode, double click and select that edge round, because that is what we are going to use the to wrap that cone around that part of our hammer. Then we'll go to modify, come down to convert, and we're going to convert polygon edges to curve. And when we convert that to curve, you're going to see what we have here. Now at this point, our outliner is very important. So this is the curve right here. So for now, we're just going to switch to the general workspace in Maya because we need the attribute editor open one place and our outliner open in another place. So we find that code that we created. So where is it? Okay, that is it. That is the code we created. So we go to the mesh tab, and if you can't find the mesh, make sure that you go to Windows and you go to settings and preferences and come down to plugin manager. So here in the plugin manager, you just search for mesh and make sure that you check this too. And when you do that, you are going to have you're going to find it here. And after you enable that, you can find it among your shelves. You can go to your mode and set it to animation. You are going to get mesh from the top here. And if you also go to FX, you're going to get mesh from the top here. So I'll switch back to modeling. So we already have the mesh here. So what I'm going to do now is to create a mesh network. So now that I've created a mesh network, you can see what we have here. So we need to wrap this around. So I have rotated this the wrong way, but let's just see if it will work. So we need to wrap this around these curves we created here. So we'll go over to the mesh one. You can see it right here, mesh one. So we'll go to the attribute editor and the mesh. We come down to add a curve node, which is this. So we're going to click on that and it says add curve node. So we're going to add a curve node. So now what we are going to do is to come down here, select this curve, middle mouse click and drop the curve inside here. Now when we middle mouse click and drop the curve inside here, you can now see that it is on the curve itself, but it is not going round. So let's keep the step the way it is. Then let's go to the mesh distribute. I have forgotten this for some time. So let's just go to the distance x and let's reduce that. And then let's go to the curves. Let's go to, yeah, the curves from here and let's increase the step. Now you can see it is rounded, but we are having issues here because of the way we rotate this. So we can still select the cone that we created and we can hit on E to rotate and we can hold down J and rotate. As we rotate, it is also affecting what we have here, just like that. And now you can see it is inside completely just because of that issue we did. And I think I love it the way it is inside. But let me go back to the mesh. Let me select the mesh and let's go to the, not the curves, let's go to the mesh distribute. Let's see. Let's try. No, I don't want the distance. Why? We only have distance y and z. So let's try the offset z. So it is going one side. So let's see if we can go back and add a transform node. So inside the transform, let's go to the position. This should be the x, y, and z. So let's see. So let's say position x, y, and z. So let's say this is the z. This is supposed to go, okay, probably on the z or the x axis. So let's put in one, hit on enter. It is going one side. That is what I don't want. So let's see. There is no way we can do this for now, so I can just leave this that way. And let me see what I can do. I can do something. Let's go back to distribute and let's see. Let's see offsets. Offsets is not working. Distance y, scale. So let's go to the mesh curves, offset along curves. So this is just going around. So let's see noise scale. That is not working. So I'm trying. I don't want to add more to this. So let's see. So this is a random string. But I think this being small, it's a bit okay. But let me see. Let me select this. Hit on W. Okay. This does not do anything. So we can just, I think this is even fine. We can work with this because if we make this big, it might pierce the hand of the person doing that. So let's keep that. We shouldn't do that. Now, if we select this curve, if we delete the curve, it is going to delete everything. So how do we separate the curve from all this code? So now we can select the curve, go to polymodeling, we're going to delete the history. And once we delete the history and delete the curves, you can see it still deletes. So we can undo this and select the mesh repro mesh. Now we can delete the history. So once we delete the history, we select the curve and delete it. It is no longer together. So if you have that issue and you delete the curve, you delete the history of the curve and it's still delete what you have here, just know that you have to select the mesh repro mesh. Okay, so now let's go back to the modeling, not the modeling, this is the modeling expert. This feels weird to me. Let's go to the mark expert or G to hide the grid. Awesome. Now this is our nice and amazing hammer. Everything is looking good. Now we need to UV map the rest item. So let's select this. I want to see something. So let's go to UV editor. All these UVs should be overlapping. We should have more than one UVs here. So let's select the UV shell. So let me see. Let me go to, let me just try layout UVs. Now you can see we have multiple UVs inside of that. So I'm going to undo that and leave it that way for now. Then we can work on that. Now, if I'm texturing, if I am texturing, I'm going to texture all these as one, so I don't need to treat them differently. So as this, even if they are combined. So I got to treat this and this differently and also. So the main thing right now we're going to UV map is this handle, this one, this, this, and this. These are all what we are moving to UV map. All right, I need to take a break right now to go fix some things, and I'm going to be back for us to start UV mapping. Don't forget to save. We increment and save, so I'm just going to save directly, which I have already done. We need to start UV mapping. Okay, so other things are already UV mapped. The, what will I call this? The cones, they are UV mapped. The bots, they are UV mapped. So we don't need to UV map the cones again. All we just need to UV map now is this, and just a few things left we need to UV map. So we're going to start with this. We're going to hit on Control 1 to select that. Now, before we start UV mapping, what we are going to do now is to just clear everything. But first, let's go into our outliner. So that is the head. Now, what we are going to do is find this. Okay, this is just cone 9, everything we have here. So all this should be cone 8. Okay, then this is this. All right, now I'm just going to name this rough because it's just something I want to use personally, not for like a project. So I'm going to name this to, I don't know, maybe head hold. If this is the first time you're organizing your model in Maya, you need to keep in mind, or you need to keep something in mind. Okay. So we name this to head hold. So if this is the first time you are organizing your model in Maya, you will rename, and when you rename, you give a space. But when you click off and or hit on enter, you notice that we have underscore right there. Well, I really don't know why this is, but that is how Maya naming system actually works. There is nothing like space. It's just either you do it together or you just add an underscore yourself. Just know that there is no space, whichever one you want to do. So for this is the main head. So I'm going to double click and name this to head. I know something might go wrong later with that particular model. So this is the cone. So we're going to name this to just cone head. I added the underscore myself. So now, so we should name this cone head top and hit on enter. Now we should name this to cone head, and what am I going to name this? So we can just name this to side. Yeah, we can name this to side. Yes, side. And this we can name this to cone head up. I hit on enter. So this, okay, this is the cone bottom. So we're going to double click on this and name this to cone bottom and hit on enter. Okay, now we'll name all this. So this is the head. So we're going to select everything related to the head and just select everything. Now to select in the outliner, you want to hold down Control and select one after the other. No more Shift. I hit on Control G to group, so we can name that to head. I hit on Enter. Now we can select this. So these are the bots. So we're just going to open this. So these are all the bots we have here. So how come there are so many? So it should be okay. That is eight altogether. So it should be one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, and eight. So we can select everything and shift right click, combine all into one. We can collapse that group. We can leave it there for now. Then we go into the UV editor. We already UV mapped this. So let's go to UV shell. Let's highlight everything. I will just go into modify and I should have layout here and layout just to see, okay, everything is okay. Now we can close that and we're going to name this to board head and hit on enter. Now we're going to drag this inside of the head group. Now, if you're trying to drag with the left click is not working, just middle mouse click and drag and drop it. Okay, now that is okay. So we have this. So let's go back into object mode. So let's this is inside, right inside there. Now this is it. So we're going to drag this out, drop it there, and we're going to name this to handle top. Hit on enter. So we're going to come here. Let's find this. So where is it? It should be inside here. So that is it. So we're going to take it out, drop it here. Then we'll click and rename it. So we're going to name that to handle main and hit on enter. Okay. Now we're going to look for this and take it out. So we're going to name this to handle um handle hold one, and this should be okay. This one we should look for that. So we're going to take it out, put it right there, and we're going to name this to handle hold two. So that is it. So we're just going to take this out, drop it right there, and we're going to rename it to handle bottom brace. Okay. So now let's see. Everything should be okay at this point. So now let's select that. We need that, and we're going to select this, and this. We're going to group them. Name the group to handle. Now the mesh repro mesh. We're going to name this to what are we going to name this to? I don't know. Let's just leave that to mesh. If you have an idea, leave that in the comment section. So we're going to drag this and drop it inside the handle. So now let's really see what is going on right here. So if we select this, all the handles are selected. And if we select this, all the top are selected, which simply means that every other thing we have here are no longer useful. So what we are going to do at this point now is to just select everything, go right here to delete all by type, history, and we're going to leave the transformation. So everything is okay right now. Undo and leave. So let's let's UV map this now. So I'm going to shift right click, select this, and separate both of them. So they should be different. So I'm going to select this and delete that. I don't want to repeat the UV mapping process on both. So I'm going to UV map only this one. And when I'm done with the UV mapping this one, I'm going to mirror it with the UVs. Okay. Now I can go to the UVs and open the UV editor. You can see how bad the UV is looking. So let's hit on Control 1 to isolate and focus only on this. Let's just center the pivot. Okay. Now we'll go to edit and we delete. Then we select, create, and camera base. Okay, that's okay. Now we'll go to UVs and select the 3D cut tool. So we go close, very close to this. Let's hit on one. Now we just hit on W. Let's go back into the edge mode. Okay, so we can see very well. Now let's select the 3D cut and so too. We can hold and shift and just select that place round. And we're just going to add one seam right there. So I think we can also cut this, but let's just unfold and see what happened. So let's go back into the move to, go into UVs, shift right click, unfold. Yeah, exactly what I know will happen. That is exactly what is happening. So now we can right click, modify, and we go to orient shell, shift right click, and then layout UVs. Now you can just leave it this way, but let's see if we can make this straight. So we can grab we can go back into the edge mode and grab the UV 3D UV cut and so too. So we can hold down control, shift again and just completely add seam to that part. And we can also, let me do it so that I can see, add seam to this part. Okay, now you can go back into UVs. So you can just go to UV shell, select this shell and just keep it one side for now. So we can go back into UVs, highlight this, shift right click, go to unfold. And now when we unfold, we kind of have an issue right there. We're supposed to have something more better than this. And that issue is coming from this part here. Now, if I try to cut all this and stitch all of them together, it might give us lots of issues. So that is the reason why I'm not going to do. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to spend much time on this UV. So I'm going to leave it like this. Then we can work with it like this. I'm going to remove those. I'll remove all those that I added. Now, when you are adding seam to your model, you want to add them at the bottom. Let's go into the edge mode. Let's see. So is there okay? I did not select some part. You want to add them at the bottom so that it will be hidden when you are texturing this. So I'm okay with this. This is okay. This is looking good. Now I can go back into object mode, hit on control 1 to bring all of this back. Now, if I hit on 3 to go into the smooth preview, so we have all these errors right here. So you can just go into the attribute editor and bully surface shape 2 and just change this to preserve edges and corner. So everything should be fine. Now we can just shift right click. Let's go back into the object mode and go out of the UV. Let's close this. Now we can shift right click and go to mirror. So we can say plus, and now everything is fine. So this should be having a nice UVs. So we can, let's go back into the UV editor. So this should be overlapping, but at this point, so we can highlight everything. We can go into UVs, highlight everything, and we can just say layout UVs, and we are going to have this. All right, that is fine. Now, the reason why I am undoing this is because I'm going to lay out all the whole UVs of the model all together. I don't want to do them one after the other. Okay, now we are done with that. Let's go back into the object mode. Let's select this. This should be the most simplest UV we are going to do. So let's delete, create, and then camera base. So we can just add one, go into the edge mode. So we can just add one sim here, right there. Now we can come down here, UVs, highlight everything, shift right click, unfold, unfold. Okay. And now there is a way we can get the Orient shell even without going into um, even without going into the modify menu, but I have forgotten that, so we can just go back to the modify and we can orient shell, and finally layout UVs. Okay, now we can select this and we can just go to strengthen, shift right click and click on straighten UVs, not straighten UVs. So this is actually going to straighten the UVs for us. Now we can go back into our attribute editor and of course head shape, and we can just set this to preserve edges and corner. So that is the only thing we want to remap. So we'll go back into the object mode. We select this, hit on control 1 to isolate so that we focus. This should also be easy. Now we can edit, delete, select, create, camera base, go into the edge mode, UV, and select 3D cut and sew. Now we can just add our scene here and then add scene right there. Okay, now we can go into move to UV, highlight everything, unfold, and then we can go to orient shell. Let's see the tools. It is not here. That is optimize. Let's go. I am still trying to find that right here. So now we can go into modify, orient shell, and now we can lay out the areas. So let me try something. Let me see if I can cut this. So let's right click, cut, go to, let's just go to UV shell. Let's select this. Yeah, when you select the UV shell, shift right click, you are going to get the orient shell right here. So let's go and unfold. Let's see, let's orient shell, and then that did not unfold properly. So did we cut that? I'm not sure we did cut that. So we cut it. So why it did not fold? What happened? Let's go into the edge mode. Okay, like I said, I'm not going to. I actually wanted to show you guys how you can stitch. If this is actually going to work, so we can just stitch it, but I'm going to leave that. We shouldn't spend much time on UV mapping. So we can just go into the attribute editor, go back to object mode, and preserve edges and corner. So this, it's not laid out properly, and it's not supposed to be this way. So let's go to UV shell. Let's try unfold. Let's see. Let's orient and let's try to lay out. No. Did we see how? Okay, we have that seam there. Okay, there is a seam here. So we can just right click, go into edge mode, double click. No, we can just select this edge. Yeah, it's just to shift right click and then stitch together. So that should fix the issue we have there. So we can go back into UV shell, select it and go to unfold, and let's see, do we have any seam there? UV shell, let's shoot this out. No, we don't have any part that is cut. So let me see if we can stitch that place together. There is nothing there. It is accurate. We've already preserved edges and corner. Okay, what is going on? So it feels like we have, okay, no, nothing is wrong right there. It feels like we are having something. Yeah, okay, if anything is wrong here, it should also be wrong with others. So let's undo. Well, UV is going to be that way. Let's keep it that way. So I don't want to isolate the UV, so let's bring all this back. Let's leave that way. Now let's focus on this. Let's hit on Control 1 and then let's go to Edit, Delete, and Create Camera Base. Now, if you really want to take out your time and work on your UVs, I'm going to leave a link in the description to my previous videos that talks about UV. There is also UV in the donuts tutorial, that not the donut tutorial, 5 hours beginner's prior tutorial. The series that I did, there is also UV mapping tutorial there, and I also did a separate UV mapping tutorial. So that is the reason why I'm not really focused on this. Okay, everything is fine. Now we can right click, shift right click, cut, UVs, highlight everything, unfold. Now we can go into UV shell, highlight everything, shift right click, and orient shell, shift right click, layout, and then layout UVs. So this looks good. Now we can just preserve edges and corner. Okay, now we can bring this back. So we are left with just this and this. Okay, now we can go into object mode, select this, hit on Control 1 to isolate, and now we can just go to edit, delete, and select it, create, and then camera based. Okay, so now I can go into the edge mode, select this loop round, also select one loop round right here, and select this loop round. And I need to cut this inside there and also here. Do I really need to do it that way? Do I really need to? Maybe I can just leave this here, make it round. It should be round. So let me zoom in. Let me take this out. Yeah, let me deselect that. Now I can cut. I just go UV shell, right click, unfold, orient shell, and we lay out the UVs. So we can select from here, we can select this UV shell, shift right click, and then we want to straighten the UVs and come down here, straighten UVs. All right. So this is straight already. We don't need to. So we can just come down here, preserve edges and corner, and we still have that issue on the other one, the same issue we have right there. So it's just going to be that way. Now, these two, but I stopped doing that because I have some issues. I'm not going to touch that. Let me just leave it right there. So I'm just going to go into the object mode, select this. I'm going to delete it. Remember we renamed it before. I'm going to delete it and clone this and just bring it down there. I don't want to stress myself repeating the same process you've been mapping that one. Now we are left with only this one. Let's isolate it and then we delete, select, create camera based, go into the edge mode, select, select, deselect, deselect, and deselect, select here, select here, select, 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 and select there. Okay, now we can cut, UV shell, highlight everything, unfold, orient shell, and then layout. Now we can preserve edges and corner. So maybe the preserve edges and corner that we are doing, or the smooth preview that we are going into, is causing the problem for us. So everything is now UV mapped completely. Now you can see how easy the UV mapping process is for us. Not because it's we are fast enough, but because we UV mapped some of these earlier as we are working. That is why it is easy for us to UV map. Now, when we highlight everything, you can see all the UVs we have here. They are all overlapping on each other. Now, if you take this into Substance Painter to paint, it is going to work, but you are going to have what we call overlapping UVs. So when you paint on one object, the paint is going to spill onto another object, and we want to avoid that. That is the reason for laying out all the whole UVs when you are done with the mapping. So you want to make sure that you lay out everything. When you go into Substance Painter, you won't have overlapping UVs while you are painting. That happens to me at some point. When I was just learning how to UV map, I did not lay out my UV and I go into Substance Painter, everything. It's just crazy then. So, okay, now that we've done all this, it is time for us to lay out our UVs. So, I'm going to highlight everything,
Now we go to modify and we come to layout erase and click on that option to open it. Now we have all this. So we have we're going to leave this that way. Then the packing resolution, I'm just going to set the packing resolution to 4K. Come down to the share presentation. We'll come back to that. All these I'm going to skip. Now the texture map size, I'm going to leave it at 2K. Now shell padding. Shell padding is the distance between your shells, and tile padding is the distance between your shell and the UV tile we are in. So we'll come back to that so that you see. Now everything is good, so we can hit on apply and give this some time. You can see right here at the bottom that it is processing. Okay, now you can see all our UVs here. Everything is laid out properly. But now you can see they are touching each other. So if we go to shell padding, I can say 10, or maybe you can go 15, wherever you think works well for you. So now if we hit on apply, just pay close attention to this. Now, if you are doing this process, you want to save. I'm just doing it just like that because sometimes Maya can crash. So you want to avoid that. Now, when you look here, you can see that we now have space in between the shells, but we don't have space between the shells and the thigh itself. So I think something is missing. Okay, not really. Now we can come down to the thigh padding and set that to 10 as well. Hit on apply, and that is also going to space. We can't zoom in right here, so let it finish loading. And now you can see we have space right here, which is awesome. That is good. Now let's go to the shell pre-rotation, which is this one. So if we go right there, you can see that we have horizontal, vertical, line X to V, and so on. So if we say horizontal and apply, this is going to arrange all our UVs in horizontal form. Is you rotate everything by itself and just apply it in horizontal form. So let's take a look at that. Now you can see everything is on horizontal form. Now if you want it to be on vertical, you repeat the same process. It is going to lay them out vertically depending on how you want it. So I think this is okay for me. Now I can just close this. Now keep in mind that the next time you want to lay out your UVs, it is going to work with all these settings right here. So you can come back and readjust the settings, that is if you want to. So everything works well for me, but I don't think I have this UV here. I can't find this. Okay, that is because I did not select it. So it is overlapping right there. Now I don't need to go into the layout again. I can just come out here, layout, and it is going to lay everything out with that previous settings I have already input in Maya. So now you can see everything right here has been laid out properly. So we can go into UV shell. Now we can't go around everything to confirm if everything is fine, but everything is here. Now at sometimes when you UV map, in case if you have that issue, when you finish UV mapping and you decide to lay out, you notice that some of your shell are going out of this 0 to 1 UV type and go over to here, over here, or so on. And if you're having that issue, all you just have to do is to highlight your model, delete the history, freeze transformation, and probably center the pivot. Once you are done with that, you just come back here and reorganize your UV, just lay them out again, and everything will work properly. All right, now we are done. It is time for us to start. It's time for us to export this. But before we export this, let's go back into the app. So we have all this. Now some changes has been made, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now we can select this. Let's click on this drop down menu and go into the head. Now we don't need the head differently. So we select both of them, shift right click. We have about, this is the head. Okay, this is All right. Now we're going to take this out of the group. So let's select this, and we can just select this one. Instead of doing that, delete the history, and we can delete this. So when we delete that, it won't affect anything. So we can just name this back to head, go into the UV editor and make sure that the UV is still correct. Yeah, still correct. Okay, now it is time for us to start assigning material. So we're going to right click, go to assign new material. Where is that? Assign new material. So we'll come down here to look dev. This it is not this way in this is not the way it is in Maya 2026. Yeah, that's different. So we can go to Arnold because it is different. So we can use the hypersheet from here right now, and we can okay. So we can go to Arnold, and this is a bit faster, and we can go to standard surface, which is the AI standard surface before. It is good as it they work on this. Now I think I'm seeing updates in 27 that it's really appealing to me. Okay, so standard surface, we're going to apply that. Now we can't see that, so we need to enable the shading. Is the shading already enabled? Let's see. That should be okay. We just hide something. Yeah, that is the shading mode. So shaded display 4, 5, and 6. So now you can see that we already applied something to this. So when we click on it, go to the attribute editor. You can see the standard surface 1. This shouldn't be 2. It should be this way. So standard surface 1. Is this like the AI standard surface? This looks more different. No, this looks more different than what it used to be. This looks more different. So let me right click again. Go to, we can go into the material attributes, look dev. See, this is my Arnold. This looks a little bit different from what it used to be. So I think this just changed. So I'm thinking if this is actually going to work because the material is it's actually different from the way it used to be. So if we go here, so we still have the standard surface here, Lambert from PBR surface standard Arnold, which is this standard surface. So when we add that, we have the standard surface one. So we have the base color, we have the base, we have the specular. So from here we have okay, we have the melterness, we have the specular roughness, which is known as the roughness. Then we have the transmission, subsurface scattering. So okay, everything still looks the same. So we're going to highlight the name and name that to head. Maybe they felt like okay, since this is just since this is just the AI standard surface it used to be before, people might feel like it is AI related stuff. So that is why they take it off. So let's select this. Let's go into the outliner. This is the head hood. So go to assign new material, look dev, AI standard surface. And now we can go into the attribute editor, standard surface. Now we can rename that to head hood. Okay. And I also noticed something. I don't know if this is different, but when we come back into Maya from Substance Painter, then we can tell. When you have a name, just like we have in our outliner here. So as we have the head hood, when we go into the attribute editor, and when we rename the material, it is going to pick one and add it because of what we named previously, but now it is not that way. So I think that works well. So for all of these, they are going to have one color, one material, I mean to say. So we can just right click, go to assign new material, Arnold standard surface, and why does it feels like it is not applying? Is something wrong? Okay, let me see something first. Let me apply this first. Do we have, we don't have any history. So let me apply this first to this one. Okay, so that is applied. So we're going to just name this to cone. Now we can come to this one, right click, assign existing material, look dev, like how, what is going on, Maya? Assign existing material, it should be right here. Standard surface zone one. Like how? Let me see. This should be for the cone, which is this. What exactly is going on in Maya? Am I the one? Now, let me go into the hypershade. Let me go into the hypershade. I want to see something. So right here, we go into Arnold. So let's see here in Arnold. Let's go to texture. No shader. So we have the AI standard surface. Is this actually different? So this is standard surface. So let's graph this network. So this is different. This, what we have been doing here is completely different. So now all this is so crazy. So let me undo all of this we've done so far. I really don't understand. This is kind of new in 2027. So I'm going to make use of the hypershade. Sorry if this is going to be a little bit tedious. So I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to, I'll come to texture, no, shader, and select the AI standard surface. Yeah, this is a regular AI standard surface we used to have. Yes, this is it. So why on this earth will Maya take this away? Wow. I think I have to go back to 2026. Okay, so now we have this. So all we just have to do is to select this model right here. But first, let's select this and let's rename this to, let's see our outliner. That is the head. So let's rename this to head. Okay, now you can see we now have one right here. Well, Maya, that is you guys. So now we can select this, right click on this, and we can say assign material to selection. So that should assign the material to this selection. Now we can come here again. We can just go to, let me see, this should be clear graph. Now when we clear the graph, it does not affect what we add here. So we're going to add another AI standard surface. And this one we're going to name it to head hold. So we're just going to name this to head hold. And now we can select this. Now right click, assign material to selection, which is cool. Now we can select this. Okay, so we say all the cones are going to have just one color. So we can clear the graph, add another AI standard surface. So I think they are actually the same thing, but it is a little bit different from what we have. That is more of loop dev. This is just a regular application of material in Maya. Well, I still don't understand why they change that. So let's name this to cone. So we can just from here select this one, hold and shift select this and this and this. So I think we have everything selected. Now we can select the code and assign material to selection. Now everything is properly applied. And for the boards, let's clear the graph and let's go to AI standard surface. And we're just going to name this to balls. Hit on enter. So we can just select this. Everything is selected already. And but assign material to selection. I still don't understand why will they just decide that the new updates we want to roll out we want to change some things. Like, okay, they changed it. It's not really about changing it. They changed it and they did not put it in a way that it is still going to be easy for people to just follow along. Now, what if you are watching a tutorial that has been done in Maya 2026 or Maya 2025 and you want to apply material, you did not see it right there? How? What is the problem? Autodesk, you guys did a great job. That's just what I'm going to say. So inside the handle, let's open this handle top. So we're going to clear the graph. So the handle top, it should be the same with this. So it should be the same with this. So I'm going to head hood. I'm going to assign material to that, the head hood material. This should just be just handle. So I can just not this standard hair standard surface. So that is definitely handle main. Okay. Now we can select and now handle main, right click, assign material to selection. So all these are going to be the same. That is handle hold 1 and handle hold 2. Is that still okay? All right. So we can just clear the graph again and add. So this we can just name this to handle hold and hit on enter. So we select both of them and now handle hold, head hold, handle hold, and yeah. So for this, I think we should make this and this the same color or the same material. So we can just select that and go to head hold one and assign material. Okay, so this we are done with this. So which simply means that if we want to apply our material back to this, we need to come back into the hypershade. But let me minimize the hypershade. Select this and go into the attribute editor. So we have the head from here. So we can also do that right here. Okay, that works. Now this is okay. Everything is good. Everything is fine. We can go back to the outliner and we can group all of this. We can select both of them and we can group it. Control G and just name this to hammer and hit on enter. Now grouping it does not affect our UVs. Now grouping it also does not mean that they are going to be together in Substance Painter. The reason why we apply all this texture before going into Substance Painter and renaming the texture is when we get into Substance Painter will not make use of the name of the object itself. It is going to make use of the name of the texture. All these are called texture sets. So this is what Substance Painter is going to use. So with that, we can use it to paint our model in Substance Painter. And when we export it from Substance Painter, it is going to have all these names. So with all these names, we can use to locate the texture files or the textures that we can come back into Maya and apply to our hammer. So that is what you need to keep in mind. All right, so this is out of the way now. We can go to File and then increment and save. Now we can go to File. Now we need to export Substance Painter. So let's select everything. Let's go to File and Export Selection. Right here, let's click on the drop down menu. Let's look for FBX. So here we don't want to include history, channel expressions, and so on. I'm just going to undo that, uncheck that. Exclude textures info, I'm going to leave it. Every other thing, I'm going to leave it the way it is. Everything is okay. Now I can just name this to hammer underscore paint. So that we know this is the one we are taking into Substance Painter. So we have it right here in scene. So I will go up, right click, create a new folder, and name the folder to Substance Painter. Now double click, I hit on export selection. So this is done exporting. Now you can save and go out of Maya. I'm going to see you guys inside of Substance Painter. Okay, so here we are in Substance Painter. You can see the model. You can see how it is. All these edges are sharp. I want to show you something before we get back into Substance Painter. So let's go back into Maya. Look at Maya. Here you can see that our model are perfectly, everything on our model is perfectly rounded, just like the way we already did it in Maya. Now, the culprit of this issue, if we get back into Maya, we can see our model that everything is rounded perfectly. So the question is, why is it not looking like this in Substance Painter? Well, the reason is that we are making Maya to preview our object or our model as a smooth object, or every part of our model to look smooth. In other words, we are picking the smooth in Maya, but in reality, our object look or our model looks just like this without the smooth preview we have in Maya. So the smooth, it's not applied directly to the model. That is the issue we are having right now. So how can we fix this? Now in Maya, you can render your model just like this without applying the normal smooth in Maya. So I also did a video about this, explaining the difference between both of them. You can go check them out, or I'm going to leave a link in the description for you to go check it out. That is if you are interested in watching that video. So now, how do we fix this? We're going to hit on one, select our object, hit on one to go out of the smooth preview. Now we're going to select our object, everything, we're going to shift right click and select smooth. Now, this smooth we are about to apply will be applied directly to our model. So when we export this model out of Maya, it is going to have this smooth, and when we take it into Substance Painter, the smooth is still going to be there. Now you can use this to create your high poly mesh. You can use this technique to create high poly mesh and take it into Substance Painter, bake it onto the low poly, which is the one we already have in Substance Painter. But if you wish to, you can also use this as the high poly and the low poly mesh in Substance Painter. So I will go for about division 2, which I think looks a little bit okay for me. So now I can click off. Now you see that our model is smooth. Everything is looking smooth. So if I highlight everything again and hit on 3, now you can see the selected board head shapes contain a large number of faces and may take a while to smooth or run out of memory. Do you want to continue? Of course, no, I don't want to continue. So I'm going to leave it this way. So all the boards is what we have right here. You can see how high they are looking. So this is the reason most times why you don't do that kind of smoothing in Maya. Now, I am not going to be using this as the main model. I am just going to take this into Substance Painter, texture this, bring it back into Maya. Now, normally I am supposed to make a duplicate, but what I am going to do, I will go to File and go to Increment and Save. So this is going to be hammer 004. So the previous 003 will still be the regular model. We can render that one or we can use this one. So whichever one you think works for you, that is what you are going to do. So now I can just highlight everything. And another way you can do this inside one scene without doing increment and save, you can just duplicate the hammer. When you duplicate it, you add the smooth to the one you duplicated and leave the other one to stay the way it is. So you have many options any way you want to do this. Now just for me to highlight everything, go back to File and hit on Export Selection. Remember, I already configured the only thing that I need. So I'm going to save this still inside of the Substance Painter and Hammer, but this time I'm going to add Hammer Paint space. I'm just going to name this to smooth so that I can really tell the difference between both of them. Okay, now everything is okay. Everything looks good. Now we can just minimize Maya and go into Substance Painter. Then we'll go to File, hit on New, and here in Substance Painter, we're just going to click on the stop here to select templates. So I'm going to click on the drop down menu and look for, where is that? PBR metallic roughness, alpha blend, starter assets. You can make use of any one. It just depends on the one you feel like it's okay for you. So I'm going to set this to 2048, which is 2K. And in normal map, I'm just going to set it to OpenGL. Go over to select, and it is going to open the folder. If the folder is not open directly for you, just navigate to the folder and select the model you want to import and click on open. Use UV tile workflow, preserve UV layout, and so on. I'm just going to leave all this, it's not necessary. But if you check this, it is going to add some extra things to the layout or the texture set of your model right here. So I'm going to uncheck this and just click on OK to open the model into Substance Painter. So I'm going to discard this. Now let's give it some time. Now take a look at this. You can see now that our model is round just like the way it is inside of Maya. Everything came out clean. Now, if you are just new to Substance Painter, I'm going to give you basic navigation. The way you navigate in Substance Painter is just the same way you navigate in Maya. You hold an alternate to orbit around. You can just make use of the scroll wheel to zoom in and out, or you hold an alternate, use the right click and the left click to zoom in and out. And when you hold an alternate and the middle mouse click, you can just pan and move around. So right here in Substance Painter, we have the two views. We have the 3D view and the 2D view. The 2D view is just going to show you all the UVs. So the UVs we can see right here is the bots, the UVs of the bots. And we'll go to the cone. You can see the UVs of the cone. But we'll go to the handle. This is the handle. When we go to the handle, then we have everything right there. Now, if I decided to select everything, everything would show here. So just go into focus on one. So we select the head. This is the head of the hammer. Now I don't know, something is going on with my Substance Painter, which might be weird as we keep painting, but you don't need to worry. If you follow all the whole process correctly, it is going to come out well in yours. Okay, there are some settings I just do in Substance Painter. This is normal. You don't have to do them. So for the material, no, the material is already okay. I don't have anything to do in the report. So for the environment map, you can change any one you want. Now, the use of this environment map is just the light in your scene. You can play around with everything you have here and see the one that works well for you. You can see when I select it, the lights change. So if you want to make use of something like what we have there, which is the panorama, you can just go ahead and select that one. But you can play around with everything here. When you play around with it, you can see the one that works well for you. So environment alignment, I am going to set it to camera so that the lights align with the camera except and the object. So we're going to enable shadow too as well. But this is too much, and you can see it is just one side. Now, if when you orbit, it's the shadow is not following the camera, make sure you set this to camera and not word. You can see it is following the word and not the camera itself. Everything stays the same. So you want to set this to camera for you to follow the camera and how. But if you still do that, it is not moving, just adjust the light once by holding down shift and alternate to rotate the environment. Once you do that once, it is going to follow from now on. And if the shadow is too much, just come down to the shadow opacity and reduce the shadow opacity, and everything should be fine and accurate here at this point. Now, the last thing I always do is come down to the camera, which is this part right there. So I set the camera, the focal length, sometimes to 120. I just decide to be weird sometimes whenever I'm doing it. It's not like there's nothing specific here, but the accurate one to use, which I feel like it is okay, you just have to go to 50 millimeter, and that will work well for you. Awesome. That is it. So I can just close this. Now, when you look at the right part, you can see that we have texture set list, we have layers, and we have properties. We also have texture set settings. So the texture set list, these are the materials we applied in Maya. That is what I am telling you, that assuming we just bring this into Substance Painter, there is no way we can texture any part of our hammer the way we want it because we did not apply materials. But as we apply materials, you can see the names that we give those materials are the names right here. So we are working with the textures here in Substance Painter, not exactly the model. If you are working with the model, exactly, it is going to have the name of the model. The name of the head of the hammer in Maya, it is just head. There is no one. It's just head. But here the name is head one, which is the name of the material we apply in Maya. So this part just puts all your texture sets, everything you have that you apply texture in Maya, that is what you are going to have. And then layers is just like the layers panel in Photoshop. Well, this is no more about Substance Painter tutorial because I too am still trying to learn Substance Painter more. Sometimes Substance Painter is very broad. So the only thing we're going to be doing here in this texture set setting is just to bake the mesh maps. And when you look at it right, you can see that we have libraries and we have all the assets you can use in Substance Painter. We have materials, we have smart materials, we have smart mask, we have filters, and so on. Now, we are not going to be making use of all these materials we have here. We are going to be importing our own smart materials that we'll be making use of. But for now, I need to make everything open for you guys to see. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag this asset, bring it down, take it down to this bottom part here, and I'm going to drop it right there, go back into smart materials. And for the texture set list, I'm going to drag the texture set list, drop it right here, close the substance 3D asset. I'm going to leave the layer right here and also drag the texture set settings. Maybe I can just put the texture set settings at the bottom right here so that everything looks okay. Now everything is looking well organized, spaced out so that you guys can really see everything that is going on right here. Now, when you look at our model, it is looking so good. Everything is looking so good. But now, when we drag one of all these materials, let me find material that will really look good right here. So I think this let's just I'm trying to find something that works. They are still loading. So let's do some pop-up. Okay, so let's drag this copper and let's drop it onto the head of our model. Okay, so I said something weird is happening in my substance painter. You can see that the texture we have right there has disappeared. And when you look in the 2D view, you can see that we have it right there. So that is the reason why I am going to leave the 2D view open, which is the UVs. So I really don't know what is going on. Now, what I want to show you is that when you look at the edge right here, you notice that it is not worn out or washed out. But when we highlight, put our mouse on this, let me go to one other one. When you look at that, you can see that we have some washed out edge around this. Now the reason is that sometimes Painter does not know which is which. We don't have what we call the maps, the mesh maps or so on. Yeah, that is what it should call. So we don't have any of all these right here. That is why we need to bake the mesh maps. So to bake the mesh maps, you need to go into your texture set settings and scroll down to the part till you find the button that says bake mesh maps, or you hit on this button right here. That is going to take you into the baking window. So we're going to leave this right here. I'm not going to explain much on this because I am still learning Substance Painter. So the settings I'm going to do here, output size, I'm going to set the output size to 2K. If you want 4K, just go ahead and hit on 4K depending on the project you are working on. So right here, what do I need? I don't need the ID map. I don't need the ambient occlusion. I'm going to leave it as just for the shadow. And I think let me just leave everything right there. I don't want to go in depth and start wasting time right here. So what we're just going to do now is hit on big selected texture maps or whatever it is. Now this is going to take some time to bake, and let's just wait for it to complete. Okay, so now the baking is done. All we just have to do here is to hit on return to painting mode, and that is going to take us back into the painting mode. Now you can see those edges I am talking about. You can see them right here. It is now visible more than what we have before. So I'm just going to delete this. Now, when you come down here, where is that? Where is that? You're going to see some of all those maps right here, exactly the ones we baked. Now it is time for us to to start texturing. Like I said, we're not going to be making use of any of all these ones right here. I have a stylized material which I have already imported and I have already downloaded that I'm going to be using. So we have them right here. So to import this stylized material, we just want to come down to this part here and click on plus. When we click on plus, it is going to open this window for us right here. So we're going to click on add resource. It is going to open our Windows Explorer. You want to locate the place where you have the materials or whatever it is you want to import into Substance Painter. So I have mine here, document and smart material collection one, smart material. So this is everything. Just going to highlight everything and hit on open. Now it automatically detected that it is smart material. So if not, you can just map them yourself. So you come down here, import your resource to project, the current project you are working on. I don't want that. Current section. That means if you close Substance Painter, they are going to disappear. It will only be available on this current section. And the current project, you're just going to import it into this current project. The moment you get out of this project or you create a new project, you won't find all this smart material. But I want to import it into library asset so that whenever I come back into Substance Painter, or maybe I'm working on another project, I am going to have everything right here. So this is one. I have one of them. Now I can just go back and import the second one because it is two. So I'm just going to double click, just open the second one right there just to be sure that is it. Then I'm going to hit on plus again, add resources, collection one, go back to documents, and we have collection two, double click and highlight everything, and then click on open. The same thing, library, your assets, imports, and it is going to add them right here. Okay, I guess this actually override the previous one that I have, and it's not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to have everything. So let's come down here and let's see. This is for my assets, so everything are right here. So these are all the materials we imported right now into Substance Painter. So how do you want to texture your hammer? That is one thing you need to ask yourself. How do you want to texture your hammer? Do you want to texture it just simple, or you just want to texture it the way it is? So now to get started, I'm just going to delete this layer. We already are in the head one. So what I'm going to do, let me move my mouse on top all of these to highlight them and see the one that is actually going to work well for me. I won't do much modification on this. I am just going to use it that way. And now one of the issue I am having here with Substance Painter is because I just grab my hard disk from my old laptop and drop it into this laptop and use the one in this laptop as just a backup drive. I did not reload the system, and I think that is the issue I am having right now with Substance Painter. That is why some of the things are disappearing from the viewport. So I think I'm just going to make use of this and I'm going to drop it on to that place. Now you can see how weird it is looking in the viewport, but right here it is looking good. Now if I come down here and maybe I close one thing and open it up, you can see how it is looking. But if I orbit around, it is going to look weird, and I actually don't know why. It won't give me the freedom to make a proper modification, and even if this material is not really okay, it won't give me that freedom to create a proper modification on this. When you are using a pre-made smart material, you just want to go through everything and hide all the whole layers you have right there, so you see what it is and how you can work on it. So if you want to change the base color, you can just click, come down to your properties right here. When you scroll down, you're going to get the base color right here. Just click here, select any color you want to make use of. So I think I'm going to make use of something like a dark blue. I'm going to see that later and desaturate it just like this. Click off. Now we're going to turn on the ambient occlusion. We already baked the ambient occlusion, so I'm just going to leave the ambient occlusion that way. And now my 2D view is also messing up. You can see that. So I'm going to leave the ambient occlusion, and we're going to turn on the edge highlights, which is this. The edge highlight is good, and I think it add nice look. It's nice. It's just nice. So we're going to turn on position grid. What it is doing, nothing that much. I think just a little bit of a light. Now, also, not just clicking the layers to turn them on, you can also click the mask to see the kind of mask you have right there, and you'll be able to play with any one of them if you like. You can increase the blur. So for the, this is the ambient occlusion, nothing much because the ambient occlusion is beneath all this, so I don't really need it that much. So I'm going to click off. Then we can go into the edge highlights, click on the mask, and we have a curvature map right here. So from here you can change the map, or you can play with the global balance. You can see as you're increasing it, you can see the kind of effects we're having right here. So if you want it to be wide, you can just go ahead and do that. And the global blur, you can play around with it. It's just going to blur it. So you can just leave the settings the way it is. And the contrast, this is what the contrast is doing. But I'm okay with the way it is just like this. So I'm going to leave it that way. We can increase the balance. Maybe just take it down a little bit so that it looks that way. Now this might look weird to you, but I'm pretty okay with this. Now we go over to the baked light, and I think this is good. Then we go to the baked lighting. I think this is okay. Now let me try this and build this. So that is it. All this works well. So I love this. I'm just looking at it right here, and it is pretty okay. So the question is now, do you want to make use of the same thing or the main hood? So I'm not going to use that. So I'm going to select the head hood, delete this. So I think I want to make use of something like this that is a bit close to that material that I have right there. So I'm going to drag this and drop it. So when I drop it right there, let's see. So if we take all these out, so let me zoom in very well. Now I really hate what this is doing. It may not really make me understand what is going on right here. So I can just say, let me turn everything off and let's see what have here. So I think this color actually match here. I did not delete the layer one we have right there, so I can leave it. So I have the color. Now that color isn't really good, so I think I'm going to bring it down a little bit to darken it. I hide it and I am working on it. So we have the having occlusion, the edge lighting, that works, and we have this. But normally, all these are supposed to be the same. Or what do you guys think? So this is what I'm going to do. So let me just turn all this on. I will go into the rendering in Substance Painter. Now we can use it to see what we've done, if this is actually looking good. So I think this is looking a bit fair to me. I love what I have here. Even if the light is too much, I love what I have here. Everything is looking good. Well, you get the idea. You just go ahead, texture yours the way you want to texture it. So I will go back into the paint mode. Now we'll go for the balls. I think I'm going to use this across. I don't want to do something crazy. So let's go for the head one. I'm going to select this smart material and I'm going to delete it. I will go back into the head hold, which is this one, close this group, right click on the smart material, copy the smart material, go into head one, right click and paste layers right there. So we're going to have the same thing on all these. So we can go into the rendering of Substance Painter, and I think everything is looking good now. Even if everything looks perfect, it just feels like yes, we are making use of a smart material. But I'm going to leave it that way. This is not all about texturing in Substance Painter. This is just giving you how all this works. So if you want to texture properly in Substance Painter, you need to learn texturing in Substance Painter. So we're going to select the board. I'm going to delete this layer. So let's see what we can use here. So we have stylized metal sandblasted aluminum. So let's see this. Stylized. So I think we can use this for the bots. So we're just going to drag and drop it. So let's go right here. I hate going back and forth because this is not really doing anything good for me. All right, this is looking good. I'm okay with this. Then we can go out right here. So we have, I think we have some of this. Then let's go to the cone. What are we going to use for the cone? Let's see, we can make use of these two as well for the cone. So we're just going to delete this, drag this, and drop it right here. It is just going to apply on the cone because it is the layer we dropped it. Let me really see. I really don't think it feels like everything are just looking the same, but it's looking a little bit different. Well, when we go into my get to see this very well. No, I think I want to add something a little bit different. Even if it is weird, I'm going to make it weird that way. So I'm going to add this into the code and use it for the code. Let's go right here and see what we have. And yeah, this is looking good. I'm just going to leave it this way. I'm going to use this one, and this is accurate. It looks so good. It works well. It is really amazing. So I'll go back into the paint mode. Now we are left with all this bottom right here. So this also holds everything, which is amazing. I love that. Now we have this, which is the handle main. So what do you think we can use for the handle main? We can use the same material we use for this so that everything is going to align properly. So we go into the head right there, and we copy this, just copy layers, and we go into the handle main, delete this, and we're just going to paste the layers right here, and that should be applied to the hand. Now all this, depending what are we going to be doing with it, so this is going to be like a cloth or probably like a foam or whatever it is, or maybe a wood, so we can say this is wood, but I think this looks a little bit okay. Will wood be okay? Yeah, wood can be okay. So this is a stylized, this is another wood. Let me click off. Let me try to highlight this. This is wood. I think this is a bit okay. So all these are plastic. All these should be plastic, if I am correct. Yeah, this is rubber. So can we use rubber for that or wood? I'm just thinking. I think maybe we can use wood for that, depending. What is it going to be? Wood, rubber, metal, wood, rubber, metal, wood, rubber, metal. That shouldn't be. So let me see. Let's get wood on top of this, and let's really see how it is going to look. Let's go right here. Now I can't really customize this very well because of what I have here, because of what I am having, the issue that I'm having right there in Substance Painter. So this is wood. This is looking a little bit better. I just want something that looks a little bit catchy and nice. So I think I'm going to make use of iron, which is the metal for that, or maybe we can try. Let's delete this. We can try this because this looks way too smooth for what I want to do. So let me drop it right there. It looks way too smooth. So let me go right here. Let's see again if this is actually going to work. Now the light in Substance Painter, it's a little bit too much. We can't really see what is going on right here. And that is a little bit annoying. So I think we can leave this like this, but I really don't know if what we are going to texture is, if we're going to make this meta or we're going to make, let's make this meta. So we're going to make it match with this. So we're just going to make it meta. So let's go back right here and let's delete that. Let's just drag this. Or should we make it the same? No, let's try this gold. This gold should work perfectly and look a little bit different from everything we have. So let's go back right here again and let's see what we have here. Now this is not really going to look good like we expect it to be, but it is looking okay. So I don't want something off, but this gold add a nice touch. It really works with everything, but I don't think this gold looks a little bit different completely. So let's try something like this. This might work very well. And yeah, looking at it right here in this weird viewport, it is really looking good and it's a bit working well. So let me see. Okay, this works well a bit. Yeah, this works well. This works well. This works well. This looks nice. Okay, so everything is just design, isn't it? So let's go back right here. Let's just zero everything in our mind and let's use this so everything rhymes. So that is actually going to work with all of this we have here, but it is not really looking that good. But at the same time, it is still looking okay, so we can work with this. Now we just go back right here. So now since we are done with all this, what we are going to do now is to go over to file and we go to export textures. So here we're going to leave this as PBR metallic roughness. And here, no, not PBR metallic roughness. So we're going to click on the drop down menu. So from here, this is where you are going to choose the renderer you want to make use of. So we are going to be making use of Arnold, which is this Arnold AI standard. Then we're just going to select that. We're going to leave it PNG 8 bits dilation and infinite dilation and transparent. I'm just going to leave this to dilation and transparent. So all these are what we are going to export. So you can come down here and you see list of exports. So each material, this is where we are going to have the base color PNG, emissive, height, meltness, normal, roughness, everything. Now you don't need the emissive. You can do some custom settings right here, but I'm not going to touch that. I'm just going to export everything like this. So I'm going to hit on export, not yet. So let's find where we are going to save that. We'll go back into our documents. We go into Maya. Inside of Maya, we go into the project and the project right here. So we're going to save this and source images, and we're just going to hit on select folder and hit on export. This is going to export everything right here in Substance Painter. So now we can close this. We can also close Substance Painter and we go into Maya. So I don't need this, so I already saved this, so I can go to file and go to, I can just select this here on Control Z to undo this. Let's go back to the number that we have right there. Okay, so I think everything looks good. So we can select everything, hit on 3. I don't have much mesh right here. So what we are going to do, let's just go back to home, go to 3, don't save. So this is it. Let's select all of this, hit on 3, and it's still going to show the same thing because that is actually dense. So let's just hit on yes and leave it right there. So we have applied the smooth preview. Let me see, let's highlight everything. 1 and 3. So everything is okay right now. So the next thing we need to do is to start importing our textures into Maya. Now, the method I want to show you guys is the one that is very simple and the one I have kind of forget about for a long time. Okay, we're going to make use of the Substance Painter plugin in Maya to import this. Now, when you look right here, we don't have that at the top. So we go to Window, Settings and Preferences, Plugin Manager. So right here, we're going to search for Substance Painter, which is this one. I'm just going to load all and auto load all and close. Now you're going to see we have Substance Painter right here. So now click on that menu. When you click on that menu, just scroll down to the part that says apply workflow to maps. When you click on that, it is going to open this pop-up for you here. So the question now is, which renderer are you making use of? So click on the drop down menu and select the renderer you are making use of. In our case, it is Arnold. So just hit on select multiple maps. When you hit on select multiple maps, just go up and go back into the source images folder where we have export all this. Now you're going to look at the names little by little. So we're just going to come down here, select the boards. I'm just going to select everything: height, smoothness, normal, roughness. So this is everything. Hit on select, and now Substance Painter is going to just arrange everything for you. Now click on apply. Now, when you click on apply, you're going to get AI standard surface has already been created. So we're having a little bit error here. AI standard surface 7 dot out of color is already connected to set to the surface. And let's just leave that. Now we go into the hyper shade from here. Here in the hyper shade, let's look for that. Okay, let me find that one we just created. This which one is selected right here? So this is the board. This should be the last one. Now this is where we're going to have a little bit of problem. I'm trying to find, okay, this is AI standard surface 7. Okay, let's see this. Is it really okay? This should be it because we have the roughness, everything connected to this. So we'll right click, we click on this box, right click on it, right click on the board, right click, and we hit on select object with materials, and now that is going to select all the whole object. Now we select this one, which is the AI standard surface 7, and we assign material to selection. So we can minimize this. When we click off, this is going to be black, and that is because there is no light in our scene. We don't have even any viewport light, so we can just close that for now. We can just turn that off. We are already in the texture mode, which is 6. If you're not in the texture mode, just hit on 6 and it is going to enable the texture mode for you. So don't worry about this. Let us continue. Let's get back to Substance Painter, apply workflow, select multiple maps. So the first one we select is the board. So we select the cone, select everything, roughness, that is all. Hit on select, and we're just going to hit on apply. So this should be AI standard surface 8. Now we go into the hyper shade again. So you can now see um this is the way, these are the things we are supposed to do manually in the hyper shade, but the substance painter plugin has already done that for us, so we're going to skip that. So this should be the AI standard surface 8. So we're just going to select the cones, right click and go to select object with material, and now we should have all the codes selected. Now we can come here, right click on that and go to apply, assign materials to selection, and that should apply. And now you are wondering why everything is black. That is because we have meta on each of the texture that we are applying right here. So to clear your doubt before we proceed, we can just go into Arnold and create a sky dome light, just the sky dome light right here. Then we can open the IP arrow. And now we can just wait a little for this to come up. And I don't know why it's not coming up. Okay, now you can see that everything is applied properly. So we can stop it and we can close this, delete the sky dome light. Now we can go back here and go to the head hood, and then select objects with material, and now we should assign AI standard surface 12, assign material to selection. Now let's clear the graph. Let's just right click and one and say graph network. So this is what we have right here. So we have the base color. Now, if you are doing this yourself, you just drag the base color directly into the base color. So the normal map, you're going to connect this to the bump 2D and connect it into the normal camera. Now, there is no displace map. As mean there is displace map, you're going to add, I have forgotten that shader, but I think if I am working on it, that should be bump 2D. Yeah, you are going to add a bump 2D, connect the normal map to, no, not the normal map, the displacement. But normally this normal map is supposed to, let's see, okay, yeah, you connect it to bump 2D. I have forgotten the map you need to, that should be the displacement map. If I am correct, you're going to connect that to the displacement shader from here. It will be connected into this main shader right here. It will be connected to this one right here. And we have the emissive, which is the emissive color that will be connected here. We have the methaness to the methaness, and the roughness will be connected into the specular roughness. I also have a tutorial which I did show you all these. The tutorial that I did, which is 5 hours, it is right here, so you can go ahead and check that out. So we're done with the hyper shade. Now everything is right here. So we can just create a basic anode, and we go to the IPR, and let's see what is going on right here. My PC is becoming too laggy, which I think I need to work on. So everything is looking good now. We just need to apply a good lighting so that everything will be really, really fine. So I can just cancel this, go out, and I can just delete that right there. Now, do I need to create something like no? So I'm just going to highlight this, hit on E, and I'm just going to rotate it. Oh man, yeah, that is what I don't want. So let's select it from here. Let's select the hammer from here, and then let's try rotating. This should rotate properly. So J, and let's rotate this, and maybe hold on J again and rotate it like this, and we can put it right here. So how do you want to light this? So what I am going to do, I don't know if this is the front or the back. Maybe this should be okay. We are on the front, so I can go to the back for now. Let me just keep this right like this, just like now. In case you don't know, when you hold on shift, you can snap into position. So we've snapped into the front view. Just hold shift, click right there. It is going to snap you into position. So I'm going to shift right click, create a cube, hit on R, scale the cube up completely, just like this. Now we go into the face mode, select all these faces and delete everything. Now we don't want this just like this, so we'll go into the object mode, we select that, go to mesh display and reverse. And now let's hit on W and take this back a little, hit on R, we scale it like this. I'm just trying to make and like this. I'm just trying to make something like a backdrop. Now we go into the edge mode, select this edge and drag this up just like that. And we select it, hit on B to bevel, and we're going to add more segments. So I think we're going to reduce the fraction just a bit. Oh yeah, something like that works, which is fine. We can keep it that way. Now let's go into the object mode. We'll go we're going to create, and we're going to create camera. Okay, now we'll go into, we're going to turn on resolution gates. Okay, no, let's undo this. We are still on the perspective camera. So we go to panel, perspective, camera one, which is the camera we just created. So let's zoom out a bit, something like this. Now what I'm going to do is to go back into panel, and I'll come down here to tear off copy. So this is going to hold our main camera. So let me add resolution gauge from here. Let's just keep this like this. And here, we're going to the perspective and turn that into a perspective mode. So we can keep this right here. Now, let's go into our render settings from here. Here in our render settings, we can come down all the way to the bottom. So here we have the preset. So we can click on this drop down menu and set the presets to anything you want to set it. But for me, I'm going to set this to 3000 by 4000 and set the resolution to 300. If I want to render this, I'm going to leave it at 72. When I want to render, I'm going to take this up to 600. And right here, I'm going to set the renderable camera to camera one, and now we can close it. So this is what we have right here, 3000 by 4000. So I can resize this to be just like this. So right now, I can take this up just like this, maybe orbit around it just a little. So zoom this in very well so that we have something like this. Okay, this looks a little bit good. Now I can light. So from here now, yeah, I can just hit on F. This is, I don't want to frame the camera. So let me select this, hit on F. Let me go back. This is going to help fix the orbit, but it's still a little bit weird. Now we'll go into Arnold and we're going to create, this should be the area light, and I'm just going to scale this up. Hit on E, hold on J, and rotate it so that it faces this way. Hit on W, take this backward. Now, okay, this is not rotating properly. E, J, just like this, W, and we shift it backward, just like that. This is looking good. Now, what we are going to do is to light this up. So we go into the attribute editor from here. So for this, I'm not going to make use of white lights. I'm going to make use of something like a red light. And for the intensity, I'm going to take the intensity up to about 3, probably just 3. So right here, let's go to render and let's set this to Arnold. Let's see what we have. Now it is set to 3, but nothing is still happening in our scene. So you can multiply the exposure. So we can take the exposure up to 3. That should do a little bit of something right here for us. Let's hit on enter to put in that. So that should light this up for us a little bit, but it is still doing nothing. So we can come down here and then turn off normalize. That should give us something nice, which is what we have right here. And this is looking a little bit fair. So we're going to come back to this. Let me set the intensity, the exposure back to 1. We can work with this for now. Now I can go back into viewport and try to align this properly. I think this is not aligned properly. So I think this is okay now. So what I am going to do now is to create. So let me select this light. Let's go to the channel box. So let's see the scale. The scale is set to 14.91. So I'm just going to set everything to 20, just like that. So I'm going to leave it that way. Now I'm going to create another area light, hit on R. I'm going to scale it up. Now I'm just going to set all this to 20 as well. Now hit on W, bring this back and take this to this position. Hit on E, hold on J and rotate this. Now when you are lighting, you can go as far as just hitting on spacebar to go into all views. So we can zoom out. This is the front view. This is the top view. So we can use this to align the camera properly or the light properly, depending on how you want to do that. So we come into the perspective view, select the light, hit on W. So now I can use this to shape to adjust this. So that is hold down J and bring this back to face the hammer. So when we exit from that, you can see that it is facing the hammer properly. Now we can create another area light from here, and we're just going to set the scale to 20. Now we can hit on W and bring the light backward. We're supposed to check the exact rotation of what we did. So we translate this, say, let's select this. We translate this around 45 degree, which is this. So we're going to select this one as well. Hit on E, hold on J, and we're going to repeat the same 45 degree. That's 60, now 45. So we're going to hit on W. We're going to use this to bring this right here. Okay, this is looking good, but it is very close. So I think this should be fine. Now we can select this light, go into the attribute editor from here. Let's uncheck the normalize and let's take the intensity all the way up to 2. And we're going to select this one. Also uncheck the normalize and we're going to take the intensity all the way up to 3. Hit on enter, and now we can From here, go into the Arnold render view and let's see what we have. Okay, this is looking good, but the red lights, it's really too much than the other lights that we have because they are too far away. So we switch back to viewport. Now let's select this light. That is closed. 3 is too much for the intensity. So let's go to 1.5. Hit on enter. Let's select this light. Let's go for this for about 5. Hit on enter. Let's select this and let's take the light up to about 3. Hit on enter. And now let's see again. Okay, now take a look at this. This is looking good, isn't it? It is looking nice, but I think we can do something to really make this show very well. So we can go back into the viewport. Now we can just add a sky dome light. Now if we add a sky dome light and we go into Arnold, take a look at how much these lights will affect our scene. Now it is affecting our scene in a more negative way that we really don't like. So what we are going to do, we're going to come down to the intensity of the sky dome light. We're going to set this to 0.2. We're going to hit on enter and now you can see this is coming down very well. So let's say we go about at zero, let's go for 0.5 and hit on enter and now this is also looking good. Now the reason why this is not catching more light is because of the method we have right here. It always happens that way. Did I just zoom the light in? Now let's select this backdrop. Let's select the backdrop. Let's just apply a basic material. Like I really don't understand this material we have right here. So let's go hyper shade. Wow. Okay. 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 So this is what I've been looking for previously, and we got it. So just go to Arnold Shader AI Standard Surface. Oh, awesome. 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 So now we can just from here select color. Maybe we can take something like a blue color, just like this, and make it a little bit dark. And now we have a nice light, and this light we have here, the red light we have here, it's not really good anymore. But let's just keep going. So you can light this the way you want. What I am going to do is that I am going to take out my time, light this, and render this. So this video is more than the way I expected it to be, but what happened is that our hammer is really looking so beautiful like this, and I love the rim lights we have right there. It is really looking awesome and really looking amazing. But I am going to take out my time and light this. And when I light this, this is what you are going to see in the final video. So I've done so many tutorials regarding lighting and rendering. You can go check those videos out. But this video is just to show you how to take a basic concept, model it in Maya, take it into Substance Painter, texture it, bring the textures into Substance Painter, from Substance Painter, import them into Maya, and when you import them into Maya, you apply it to your model, and after that, you light it and you render it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you learned something from this video. See you guys in my next video, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new right here, and make sure that you stay creative.